All right, hello everyone. Welcome to the first Olympus Podcast. My name is Fraser, and I'm one of the leaders of Olympus. Charmander, unmute your mic, my dude.
Okay, hey everyone, how's it going? My name's Charmander. I am one of the leaders and founders of Olympus.
I'm Nex. I'm one of the leaders and founders of Olympus too.
DVS isn't here, so I guess I'm next. Hello, Jack. I'm a shit Ironman.
Hello, I'm Mickey. I'm a hardcore Ironman.
Maxed hardcore Ironman, PogChamp, and female. Right.
Yeah, I'm the token female.
Kind of female.
All right.
Token female.
So this is the
and
Olympus...
then
sorry,
what?
Dan.
I get an intro, don't I?
Of course.
I'm 111 Fishkite1, better known as Dan S, a main who plays an Ultimate Ironman on the side. So, yeah.
All right, Fishkite, thank you. Sorry about that. So
No
this is
problem.
the Olympus Podcast, and I think I've got the questions on the screen already. So first of all, what is Olympus? So Olympus is a high-level Ironman clan that we opened up about 6 weeks ago now, and it's time for a podcast.
So I'm just going to go ahead and get into the next question. Why was Olympus formed? So there's actually a picture of me PMing Fraser a while ago, discussing the clan. I know it had been in discussion for a little bit after Erudite kind of went off the map, and Fraser had been talking to me about possibly starting a new CC. And so the reason I personally wanted to start the clan was because there's such a big gap between the Ironmen who want to be good and are grinding really hard, and then the top page Ironmen. A lot of front page is not even active on Twitter, and so it's hard to communicate with them and ask questions and things like that. And so to me, it was really important that the point of this clan was not to be elitist and have our, private Discord where we just talk about how much better we are than everyone and things like that. But I wanted to really connect everyone and sort of help make everyone friends and bring everyone together and really just have one big community where people can join and not be afraid to ask questions and talk to people and things like that. So to me, that was of utmost importance when we were writing the description and deciding on starting the clan. And I actually told Fraser even that if it was going to be something elitist where we only let the best of the best in and things like that, that I wasn't really interested. And so far, I'm really, really happy with how it's going, and I think everyone loves it. So, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. We just wanted to make a clan where it was more social for the high-level Ironmen, because in Erudite, which was the previous clan most of us were in, a lot of things were very elitist and almost toxic to a point where people just weren't talking, and the people that play the game a lot, like the top pages, are sort of also the people that don't talk a lot. And so we just wanted to encourage more of a friendly vibe in the community and make it more social. And I think socializing is really important for playing the game long term. So it's really important that we all started to talk to each other and even talk to lower level people. So I'll just let Nex have his chance to talk about this topic. And I just want to say the leaders of the clan are me, Nex, Dids, Charmander, and Aryabhata. So 5 leaders.
Yeah, the clan's going really well so far. After Erudite died, there wasn't really anything for Ironman to join, aside from, I guess, Omnia, but that wasn't really made for Ironman. So a lot of Irons just didn't hang out in the friends den and stuff. And yeah, that sort of revived the community, which is nice.
Yeah, another thing that reason that I was so adamant on not being elitist was because I started off in Erudite. I remember I applied. I think I was maybe close to 2,100 total when I applied. Not exactly sure. And I remember joining the CC and seeing the best of the best at that time, like Tyler at the top. Rest in peace, Tyler. People like Parker and Vatty all in there, who I had watched so many of Vatty's videos, and I was such a big fan, and still am. And when they would talk in the CC and join Discord voice and things like that, I never felt like, not to be cringe, but I never felt like I was cool enough to join the voice chat. I felt like it would be really awkward if I joined the voice chat or said something in CC, because these are guys that have been friends for a while and have like played Ironman together since the start. And so to me, again, like I said, I didn't want that to have I don't want to have that atmosphere in the CC. And so, yeah, that was another really big driving factor for me.
Right. So, next question. What are the requirements for Olympus? So, for Smiley, we got 2100 total level on an Ironman account and 2200 for recruit. After that, max total or top 300, because we have some snowflakes, for 2 banana, top 75, top 150 for 3 banana, top 75 for bronze star, top 30 for captain. And the leaders are the gold stars in the clan. And all of the leaders are top 30 anyway. Alright, there's not much more to say about that. So,
not much.
First
I have
question.
one more.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The only thing I want to add was, if you're an Ultimate Ironman, those ranks are definitely not set in stone. We don't really have a way to measure Ultimate Ironman EHP super specifically right now. So if you are an Ultimate Ironman, you're interested in joining, your best bet is to just message a leader or tweet at us and send us your stats, why you want to join, etc. Things
Same
like that.
Same for Snowflake accounts. Like, if you train only rune crafting or something, we're not gonna like exclude you from the community. If you're a high level, you play the game a lot, you feel like you fit in, just send one of us a message and say, hey, could you consider me for the clan? And same for hardcores, I guess. But we're a little bit lenient for hardcores because it's a newer mode, but we don't pander to them as much as we do ultimates for obvious reasons. All right.
And also the Discord is open, so if you're interested in joining Olympus and don't quite meet the requirements, but you still want to ask questions and talk to people, the Discord is always open. We definitely encourage people to join. So next, just link it. There you go.
Yeah.
My man. All right, first actual question. So those were just, because this is the first podcast, we wanted to go over what the clan is, why we're holding a podcast. First question. So mobile was just released. What do we think the effects of mobile will be with all the new players in the game? And do you think it's healthy for the long-term, like longevity of the game, that we have all these new players coming in and voting on polls and deciding the future of the updates?
So I think it's quite nice that there's a lot of new players. It's cool to see a lot of people online. Obviously, like 150k people, it's pretty cool. But I wonder how many of those are actually going to stay, because it's obviously like only come out on mobiles. So probably most are just going to play for a couple of weeks and then quit. But it'll be interesting to see how many people actually play. As for the polls and stuff, I'd like to see them increase the requirements for the polls, because it's only like I can't remember what the total is for polls right now, but
I think it's 150.
Yeah, it's pretty low, so that would be quite nice. But I think that's it, really. The world situation, I like that they added more worlds, more hop seed worlds is always nice. And a few of them have been pretty laggy, which is, I don't know, it's kind of a guaranteed effect of more players online. But still, I kind of like it.
What do you guys think about the whole mobile will not affect the game, and then where we are at right now? How much farther do you think they're going to go? Doing things like the spellbook change is the most recent one that people are really up in arms about.
It'll happen. It was obvious it'll happen. I think it'll become much worse in a few months when those mobile players are now level 100 mains that want to see changes to the game and new drops and money makers and stuff like that. I think it'll be really actually obvious to us in a few months when they're not noobs.
If we get like a lot of new players now and they actually stick around, they're not going to care as much about the integrity of the game as the people who've been playing for years.
Yep.
So that's a bit of a concern, especially with all these like interface changes coming, and they're actually putting it into the main game, not just on mobile. So yeah, that's a bit of a concern of mine.
I was definitely like not shocked, but like interested the fact that they pulled the withdraw all and bank all. The first time I saw that, I was like, they're actually polling. It's like they made a big point that mobile will not affect the main game. Like they really drove that home. And then just a few weeks after it's released, there's already changing the spellbook, withdrawal, bank all, things like that. So I think it's only, like Fraser said, a matter of time before
They have
more
a nice
stuff
track.
gets added.
They have a sort of track record of not really keeping to those sort of promises, the slippery slope promises,
Yeah.
such with shift click and that sort of thing. But I guess we'll see what else they try to pull.
There was.
Yep,
I just want to add that there was a Reddit. I want to say Q&A in maybe 2016, where people were talking about 6-houring overnight, and
The
Matt
Gutham
Kay-
6-houring zone.
Yeah, and Matt Kay said in that Reddit post that he'll always put the success of the game over integrity of the game and things like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Oh.
understandable. It makes sense. He said it since 2016, but it's just to be expected.
Makes perfect sense from a business perspective. Obviously, it's just something that it feels pretty meaningless to, quote unquote, fight against it anymore. I think the best course of action that I kind of take is just accept it and just accept that these things are going to pass. Pretty much any sort of buff or anything that gets pulled at this point is pretty much always going to pass. So just something you have to get used to and use, I guess.
Yeah, a lot more things are passing now than they used to.
Yeah, I would love to have that withdrawal and bank all pulled a few weeks after the start of old school, just to have it compared to what it's at now. I think there would be a very noticeable difference in that. I do think it's really hilarious seeing all the people in full Addy and Myth armor and stuff walking around Draenor and walking around Lumbridge. I think that's really funny. It's cool to see 150,000 players on weekends. I do think it'll drop. I don't remember who said that, but I think that will drop over time. I think there will be there's definitely going to be an increase that stays, but I don't think it's going to be this drastic. And I'm honestly not sure if it's going to cause more good or harm to the game in the long run. So that's all I have to say on that.
All right, so let's move on. RuneFest 2018, the old school reveals. So at RuneFest, I know a lot of you might not be caught up with the updates, but at RuneFest they announced the Kebos Lowlands, which is supposedly happening in January, which is an update to Zia. They're going to be adding a new Slayer Master, Farming Guild, things like that. They also announced Warding and a new quest, Song of the Elves. So, Warding. That's the new proposed skill, where it's going to be as crafting is to range, they like to say, and smithing is to melee. They want to introduce a new skill that is akin to magic. So, it'll be like making magic armors, is the idea of it. That's what they want to add to the game. And there was actually a advertisement recently, which was promoting to new players. Come check out our new skill Warding, as if it had already been implemented. So
That was a real thing.
that was a real thing. It was live. So
I
Warding.
just assumed that was like a phishing link.
No. Modder user commented on it on Reddit, and he said that it was a typo and they didn't mean to put that in yet. But that's what the management is thinking of in their advertisements and stuff.
They're definitely thinking that.
So Warding, first impressions, is it healthy for RuneScape? Is it the right direction? And what changes would you make?
This is me first again. So I guess Warding is a decent idea, but I don't know. I'd like to see them add more to it because it's pretty shit right now. There's not really much you can do with it. It's not very useful because I know they suggested adding some more magic armor and stuff, but I mean, it's obviously not going to be as good as Ancestral or maybe even Arims. So I don't know. I don't see it being very useful at all, really. Whether it'll pass a poll or not, I'm not sure. I think it might actually because of the influx of sort of new players. They sort of want to see new content all the time, but obviously Sailing and Artisan both failed the poll, so I don't know. We'll have to see. I hope it doesn't pass, to be honest.
Right. The only big pieces of content that haven't passed polls historically have been new skills. So it's not absolutely a foregone conclusion. When they first mentioned Sailing, people thought the same thing. All these new idiots are going to want to sail. It's going to pass 100%. but people are surprisingly resistant if it's something that they're going to have to grind to do their quests or PVM or have optimal stuff or whatever. Having a new skill doesn't necessarily make the game easier. It provides more things for them to do. So I'm not like 100% sure it's going to pass, mainly because it doesn't seem that fun.
Yeah, it looks extremely boring to train. I'd be surprised if anyone actually wanted it.
And they're like, go ahead.
Just because it makes sense doesn't mean it should be added. Like I don't want another crafting. Like, that's not fun.
Also,
Yeah, I
don't use the
100%
max tape.
agree. Yeah, I actually like the skill cape of boarding. I think that's the one good thing about it. But aside from that, the content seems really lacking. It seems really boring. I don't think we need another smithing, crafting. Like, those skills are kind of boring. Smithing, what goes up to like runes, so what's warding going to go up to? I don't know. It just seems really pointless to me. I feel like maybe if they revisited some of the older skills that they've tried to pull, we might get some better reception from the community on them now than we did a few years ago. I think they sounded cooler than warding, to be honest. That's just my opinion.
I think I agree with that. I think a lot of their big push on warding is that it makes sense, which is not at all a good reason to add a new skill. Just because we have crafting doesn't mean that we have to have the counterpart to it. They're really pushing, we thought about this a long time, and you know what, guys? It makes sense. And that's like their big thing. And I think I'm not sure if like what they put in the dev blog is all they plan to have on it. If that's all they plan to like have on the skill on release, I think it's pretty sad and I can't really see it passing. Another thing to consider, it might be a small minority, but the more players we get max, especially that aren't, extremely good or extremely dedicated to the game, who don't skill for fun and who thought they had to go, through this humongous rune crafting grind and things like that. I think the more of those types of players we get in, the more of them are going to vote no because they don't want to skill anymore and they just want to keep their max cape. And I don't think that'll have a huge issue, but I think when did they say they were going to pull warding? Like a year from now, something like that.
Christ.
So that's just another thing to keep in mind when you're trying to decide if it's going to pass. So.
Right, and also one thing with warding is they like to say it was just a rough idea of a skill. But that's been the same with sailing that they've proposed in the past, and same idea with artisan, is that they just gave a rough idea of a skill. Neither of those were fleshed out either. And in my opinion, those two skills were a whole lot more exciting than warding. And personally, rather than warding being added to the game, I'd rather all three skills be added at once. Like, if they're going to fuck shit up, at least do a good job.
Warding, artisan, and sailing?
Yeah.
Could you imagine they release 3 skills?
I would much prefer that
At
than
once?
just warding. Warding is fucking awful. Warding is so
It
boring.
will at least be more interesting, yeah.
I would
I mean,
much
warding's
rather...
boring, but it being boring doesn't necessarily mean it's gonna fuck shit up. It just means, like, I don't know, I might wear a different set of stuff when I barrage next or something. I don't know.
Right, but like there'll be like implications on like hunter and whatever else you have to train to level warding.
Farming.
And like, why not just change the whole game if you want to change it so severely? Like, warding will have a huge impact on the game, on all sorts of skills. Like, people that have done 200 hunter, obviously that only really applies to us, the high level players. But like, that's huge. Like, I was talking to Nex yesterday about whether he should finish 200 hunter or not, because warding might come out, and then that's gonna have a huge impact on his account. And...
I mean, finishing any skill, like, there's always, I mean, if you finished, I don't know, there's always going to be more bonus XP and little things. It's macro to never finish 200 in anything, but it feels good to get a permanent rank or whatever.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's something that I've definitely been like thinking about and considering on Ironman especially. There's so many skills where it feels like I just shouldn't train this. Like, I should just wait because something's going to come out. Like, Fraser and I and Nex, I think, are 200 thieving. And then they just add hop seeds to master farmers. Like, it is super buff to make birdhouses a little bit easier to do. And, like, that kind of stuff happens all the time, especially on Ironman, where you have to gather things. And so I think you just eventually have to get to a point, like Dan or Fishkite said, where you just accept that it's macro to not finish anything and just acknowledge that sometimes you're going to miss out on stuff.
Yeah. But my main point there was that Sailing is more appealing to me than warding. Artisan is more appealing to me than warding. Every little part of that, like their real argument was this is only a small part of warding. What we're showing is just a small part. We'll have more ideas, but the same applies to sailing. They only showed a small part of sailing. There'll be more to sailing. Sailing's way more interesting in my opinion, and I'd much rather sailing or artisan be in the game. Or I'd rather all three than just warding. But
Yeah,
I'm not a
I
huge
just-
fan of the skill idea. I don't like it. I think the other proposed ideas are a lot better.
I can't see it adding like noticeable stuff to the game, like things that make the game more enjoyable or more fun to play. The skill doesn't even look fun to train. At least, like you said, sailing and artisan look like they would at least have something behind it. Warding like just looks like something to add because they can, honestly.
Right. Alrighty. Next up, the new quest that they revealed, Song of the Elves. Does anyone have any strong opinions on this quest? Are they excited for it? Does anyone like quests? I don't
I
really.
like that they're filling in the area, I guess. That's pretty cool.
Do
Yeah.
you
Is
want
this
to give
a
a quick?
Prift quest?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the first time I'm hearing about it.
Fraser,
It's
do you want to
kinda-
give like a quick rundown of what's supposed to come with it?
Yeah,
Because
right.
I think there's like they talked about the agility course that I think they might put it in, and there's like a mining boss and stuff.
Right. Let me click the link on the site. So it's like continues on from Plague City, Biohazard, Regicide, Morning's End Part 1 and 2. It's like that quest line. It's called Song of the Elves. Let me click and see what the rewards are. So there's going to be the Gauntlet, where the PVMers among you, we present the Gauntlet, a brand new challenge requiring players to start from scratch with no weapons or armor. So that's what they talked about, sort of like an Inferno-esque sort of challenge. That'll be part of this quest. And looks like they're also introducing crystal armor with this quest, as well as a skilling boss. So
What were the rewards of the gauntlet again? They discussed them briefly, didn't they? Or did they not?
I can't see it here on the dev blog, but I assume
Okay.
it'd be the crystal armor and things like that. But yeah, that's the idea of the quest.
Is there anything big like that could change the game?
A new agility course. They discussed adding a new agility course to that for sure.
Oh,
Is it on top of the Grand
What level is it? Yeah, it's not like Gryffindor, so I assume. What did they say? What level the agility course was, or anything like that?
I can't remember.
They haven't
ahead.
decided yet, but they were talking about it on Twitter. I saw Modaiza talking about what sort of rates and what level they should make the quest. And I remember responding with a troll response like, make it like 90k XP an hour. And I think they just want to make it a little bit above Artie, is from what I can tell. Or maybe a
Right,
little bit
okay.
under Artie. I'm not sure. But nothing set in
Oh,
stone.
okay. Well, if it's under, that's kind of dead. So they kind of have to make it a bit over, don't they?
Yeah.
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah, like the one niche, I don't even know. Like something that, I don't know, Kandarin is like best from 60 to 80 or something. But other than that, like, I don't know, there's no problems with agility. If they want to add something click intensive as an alternative to rooftops pre-99, like, or pre-87 or whatever, like,
Yeah, 60 to
for it.
87.
yeah, but 60 to 87, you're just on one course and it's pretty fucking boring. So, like, if they want to fill in something, that's the only place that I can really see.
But at the same time, it's supposed to be like a big Grandmaster quest, right? I guess if the reward is the whole city rather than the agility course, then I think that's cool.
What about
What?
if it was like slightly more than Artie, but really like click intensive?
We
Then
already
you've
have
got
that
yourself
skill.
werewolf agility. So,
Yeah.
you know.
What's werewolf's XP?
71.
71k.
That's Jebra.
perfectly.
Oh, okay.
Jebram says 71k.
Yeah, okay. I've seen Jebram doing it, but I didn't know the XP.
Oh, and it's the fastest pre-99 too, you're right.
Alright. Next question, next topic. The Kebos Lowlands. So the Kebos Lowlands is coming January, I believe. And that'll be including the Farming Guild, aerial fishing, and the new Slayer Master and Slayer Monsters. So that includes the Hydra, the Dragon Hunter Lance that we hear about a lot, things like that. So, Jack, what are your thoughts on the Kebos Lowlands, the Farming Guild, all of that?
Well, I like the Farming Guild. There's only one part that I don't really like, which is the anema patches, I think they're called. Seem a bit OP with the increased yield and that sort of thing. So
That's the
it
global
depends how
boost,
much.
right?
Yeah, the global effect.
Yeah.
It depends how much of a boost it is, but I don't really like that much. Kind of like the new herb patch because herb patches are cool. But aerial fishing, I don't really know what that is. So I didn't really read the depth one.
I'll talk about aerial fishing because I think it's important. I think it might actually be new EHP method, just like underwater agility. Because they like to quote rates. For example, they said underwater agility would be 30k an hour and 110k thieving. And it's not. It's about 2 times that. So aerial fishing is... The idea is that you hold a bird and you throw it at a fishing spawn and it catches a fish. And they say in the blog here...
Like falconry then.
Yeah, similar to that, right?
Falconry fishing.
So they say at level 99 fishing and 99 hunter, you should expect to earn 60k fishing and 80k hunter an hour. And 15k cooking.
Is this their second? No. Wait, yeah, the other one's fishing and hunter too, right? Like, why? Like underwater, the drift net. That's the same.
Yeah.
They're adding another multi-skilling method for the same 2 skills.
Yes.
Is Maz designing it?
I hope not.
Will it involve squirrels?
But
'Cause if it's, I'm just saying Maz designing it, like it's going to be broken.
So 60k
actually,
fishing,
this is-
80k hunter.
Those are
This brings
pulled
up like
rates,
a
clarify.
potential problem
Yeah,
of
hold rates.
the future. They might like bring out the combo skills as well. Like if this becomes acceptable, if this like changes the way hunter and fishing are going to be done, then it's possible they're going to bring like other combo skills in the future as well.
Sorry,
Now for
Opposite
Ironman
consent.
specifically, like you do, like fishing, you're just barb fishing, so you're gonna miss out on some agi that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. Hunter, are the results of hunter extremely important? Whether that's chins or Irby, I don't.
Not really.
Not a big deal.
Not really. Okay.
No.
Alright,
Would you guys?
one sec. I
do
did
boat houses?
hijack Jack there to talk about aerial fishing, so I'll let Jack finish his
Yeah.
thoughts on Farming
Oh, yeah.
Guild and the new Slayer Masters, and we'll continue
Well-
in the order that I've got here. So,
Okay.
Jack.
I'm pretty much done with the farming guild. I don't know. The new trees look alright. I guess the redwood trees, but I don't really care about those. The Slayer is cool. I like Slayers, so new monsters is always nice, and excited for the Hydra as well. That sort of thing. That's pretty much all I wanted to say.
all right, next. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. It sounds cool. I'm excited for the Dragon Lance. That's pretty much it. Like the farming guild and stuff sounds cool, but I just hope aerial fishing's not OP and nothing in there's really gonna come out too overpowered.
What do you think of the Farming Guild next? Do you think, are you excited for that? Do you think there's anything going to be OP in there?
The patch wide stuff is a bit weird. I'd rather that not come into the game. Because herbal nerfs aren't really great for Ironman, but I don't know. I don't really mind.
Right. Mickey.
Yeah, I'm 100% the same about the global patch. I really like the sound of the Farming Guild. I was reading through it and I thought most of those things sounded pretty good. Yeah, I just got a bit at the global part of it. I think, yeah, you can't really keep making herb lore worse and worse.
They also mentioned a dragon fruit tree and a redwood tree. What are your thoughts on that, Mickey? Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, I kind of read through the dragon fruit tree. It's not a kind of boring fletching boost. That's all it does.
It's not
Yeah,
much
plus
on the
4, I
farming
think.
XP.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
The farming XP was is a bit more, but like I don't think it's that bad
Okay.
in my opinion. I think that's fine.
Charmander, what do you think of all
What was
these?
it? Sorry, Fraser. What was the other one?
So there
Dragon
was...
fruit tree.
Oh yeah, dragon fruit tree and redwood tree.
Redwood.
Oh, the redwood. Yeah, that's right. Well, I like the redwood because I can do more redwoods on mobile.
Well, from the proposed map that they've shown us, the redwood tree will be right next to a bank, from what I can tell.
Yeah,
So-
but the redwood now is like really close to a bank anyway,
Right.
and they're not that fast to cut. I don't think that's OP or anything like that.
Okay. Charmander, what are your thoughts on the Kebos Lowlands?
I think it's cool. I think a lot of people have been looking forward to the Farming Guild for a while. I forget who I was discussing it with, but we were talking about the anima patches. And one thing to keep in mind with those is I'm pretty, like almost positive they said the seeds for the anima patches would only come from that farmable demi-boss, which you could only get like the ability to kill from harvesting, like randomly from doing farm runs, essentially. So I think one thing to keep in mind when you're thinking about like how busted and broken it's going to be for Ironman is that the anima patches aren't like they don't live forever. I think it's 3 days, I think is what they
Yeah,
have in the
that's true.
dev log. So it's 3 days you have that time to get another demi-boss, like seed or token or however they're going to do it. And then you have to kill the demi-boss and then get the specific anima seed you want. So I do sort of agree that it just feels like, they're just adding it to add it. But, I'm always against Ironman devaluation. Do I think it's going to pass? Almost certainly, because everything's going to pass.
I think it's
But-
fair to say all of these updates will pass.
Yeah, almost certainly.
Wait, was this not polled? I thought this was polled.
It'll be fold.
Not yet.
No. I thought
No,
it
no.
already was.
Already
Was it?
was?
I actually can't remember. It might have been.
Yeah, it already passed. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Well, this is coming to the game in January, they've said. So
Yeah.
So that was like people were like everything has 85%. That means people will vote yes for anything, and then other people said that's because it's good content is why it's passing, not just because it's new. Was
Right.
like the argument that I saw.
Charmander, I just want to finish. There is a new Slayer Master, new Slayer monsters, new drops. What are your thoughts on those?
I think the Dragon Hunter Lance is a very good update to the game, specifically for Ironman. I had mixed feelings about it because I got my Dragon Hunter crossbow on like 30 KC and rigor like 2 raids later. So this, the Dragon Hunter crossbow I think is still better. I think Higer did some calcs and like unless you hit a pretty nasty BGS spec, the Dragon Hunter crossbow is still more DPS. But I think especially for people like Vatty and myself who just hate Raids 1, that's like some of my least favorite content to do in the game. And with how like necessary Vorkath is to do on an Ironman, I think that, because right now for Vorkath, the gap is like Blowpipe versus Dragon Hunter crossbow, pretty much. And like, that's an insane gap for Ironmen who have to go do Raids 1 to get the Dragon Hunter crossbow. And so I think giving us a different way to get another item that you could use on Vorkath is okay. I don't know how useful or good this Slayer Master is going to be. They said he's going to assign you to do monsters in specific areas. So I'm kind of expecting the tasks to be really slow and really unenjoyable. I can't foresee him saying, go kill 250 Necreals in the catacombs.
Right.
I can see him saying, kill abyssal demons in the Slayer Tower and things like that. So yeah, I'm not against giving people another way, specifically Ironman talking here, to kill Vorkath. As for the rest of the Slayer Master, I doubt he's going to be used once you get the Dragon Hunter Lance if you decide to go for that. I think you'd probably be better off just doing Raids 1 if I'm just guessing here, because if I'm going to get a bunch of melee abyssal demons in the tower and melee dust devils in the desert dungeon, whatever that's called, then that's not something that I would want to do.
One of the
But
other
I
drops
think-
from the Hydra is the Ferocious Gloves. I'm not sure if you've seen them, but they have
Oh,
14
well.
melee strength. What do you think of those, Charmander?
I think the way they are now, you just drop the gloves and equip them, correct? Like there's no attach them to Barrow's gloves or anything.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I think the best situation would just be to attach them to Barrow's gloves. I'm not sure why they didn't think of that themselves.
Yeah,
That seems like a
100% agree.
pretty logical thing to me.
Yeah.
Like Barrow's gloves are a super iconic item in old school RuneScape. Like to just take them out of the game and make these random tradable gloves just better that anyone can buy and equip feels kind of bad.
Right.
But
Okay.
I think melee is always going to get better. The game is always going to get power creeped. I just wish they would have done this in a better way, as in attach them to Barrow's gloves. Is my personal opinion.
I agree. And finally, Dennis, what are your thoughts on Farming Guild, aerial fishing, and new Slayer updates?
So viewing this as fish kite, I think Farming Guild. I'm a big fan of farming on Ironman, specifically anything that has the potential to get me some herb seeds or something. I'm pretty down for that. Get another patch. I don't know. Like I'll probably have to work towards unlocking this area, but pretty stoked to do it overall. Aerial fishing, they'll fuck up. New Slayer Master seems fine. I don't think it'll have too much of an effect on Slayer in an efficiency standpoint. I think it'll be a fun other way to slay. My problem with the Dragon Hunter Lance is that it looks way too heavy to hold with one hand, and your character really just throws it around like it's nothing. That really bugs me. I don't know if anyone else has noticed that.
I agree, 100%.
The
Yeah.
model is
Like
pretty
it's so like it's huge, and you're just like stabbing it like it's a rapier. Like it's the
It's so
same.
bad.
It looks awful.
It's like-
let's be real.
It looks like it's 100
Legit.
pounds, and you're just like
Yep.
chucking it around. Like how like I play a small girl character. What the fuck?
If Mod West watches this, I appreciate your work, but just start over. That is not good.
Like it looks so. It looks
Someone
like
make me
pretty
picture?
decent. It's huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
There's a GIF somewhere. I think Aiza tweeted a GIF.
Someone link it in the chat.
And they were like, "Look how sick this looks." It's like no one can lift that.
Yeah, especially not with one hand.
It's gonna
like-
look so like overcrowded. Your character's gonna look ridiculous. You know how the bludgeon is two-handed and it looks ridiculous? This is one-handed and it looks ridiculous. It's just gonna make your character
I
look so
posted
Oh,
it
what the
in
hell is that?
in the Twitch chat. Yeah.
Okay, that's really bad. It
Yeah.
looks like a tree.
I don't want to hate on Mod West because I think he's actually really good for the game, but this is not his best
Yep.
piece of work.
Yeah.
Christmas tree.
Yeah, that's
What do
what I
you
was thinking.
Yeah,
What
I
do you
think they
guys
said it
think of-
started as the Windtumber, like the Christmas reward.
Yikes. It's really bad.
Yeah.
One last thing. What do you guys think about them taking I think it's the thrown axes and the harpoon they're
Oh,
taking
that's
out of
good.
Rage 1?
I'm happy with
Yeah.
that.
And they're
Yeah,
putting
that's
them on
fine.
the
Support.
worm monsters from the new Slayer Master, I think.
That makes sense.
I think it can drop from any of them, right?
I believe so.
Anything
Yes.
he assigns.
What's it going to do to raids drops?
Make him easy to get.
Like,
Yeah.
no, I
It
think
will?
they. I mean, they
Not
claim that they're
necessarily.
going to do the math that all the chances are still the same, so you'll get more empty drops, I would think. But it's not like anyone gave a shit about getting harpoons or
You know?
thrown axes anyway.
Yeah. So
I think they
the raid
said
will probably
it's
just
not
drop
a
one.
buff to raids 1 drop rate though.
Okay.
Okay.
I think those items should never have been on the Raids 1 table in the first place, so I think it's cool that they're actually taking items out of something and putting it in a different place.
Well, those were some of the only items that passed the first round of Raids 1 rewards, if I remember correctly. Like, they pulled a whole bunch of, like melee gear, and like, armor and stuff, and it all failed, and then they came up with, like, T-bow and everything else. So, like, yeah, it's just, like, this random group of, like, shitty items that happened to pass the first round.
Yeah.
I just
How
wanna-
much is like Dragon Harpoon now anyway? Does anyone know?
Wait, is the Dragon Sword still going to be on there? Or did
No.
they move?
No,
Yeah.
No,
that's-
they're removing all the dragon drops.
Hell yeah.
Oh, okay.
Um,
That's pretty cool.
They're also adding dragon knives, which will have a special attack, which shoots 2 knives. Don't know the impacts on PKing, but
They're adding that onto the new Slayer table.
I believe that's from the Hydra. No, you're
Dragon
right. That
knives.
is from worms, drakes, hydras, and the
Yeah.
alchemical hydra. And other drops that aren't really interesting but are being added are the boots of brimstone, devout boots, brimstone ring. They're putting together an item called the
Dead content.
Bone Crusher necklace, which is combining the dragon bone necklace and the bone crusher, which I think that's a cool update because people use those items in conjunction. So, but the rest of the
Can't
items are
you
pretty dead.
farm? I thought you could farm like new like snape grass or something too. Like I was looking at it,
yeah.
like
oh yeah.
yeah.
being
Like, that's
able
what
to
they
note.
think.
It might not be the most efficient way to collect, but as an ultimate, just being able to go to a tool leprechaun and note it, like that has pretty severe implications on the game mode in terms of gathering times and stuff. Obviously, you can just barely glance at ultimate herb lore and have a pretty big effect on it. But I think that all of this stuff, I mean, it's going to change several different pieces of content.
Will you
Can
be able
you-
to
you
note
can't-
snapgrass while farming?
Yeah, that
it?
was-
If it's
Yeah.
farmable, you
It's
would
like, it's farmable in allotment patches, so you would guess that you probably could.
right. Yeah,
And
you should
potato
be able.
cactus too?
So you
I
definitely can't.
And a
notice
potato
that.
cactus. You're right.
Oh man.
So I don't know the current game plan. I mean, I know that for snapegrass, you can just use your house and pick them up, and then you go straight to a tool leprechaun, and then all of a sudden you're banking a ton of prayer pots in it.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. You can just pick it up. You don't even have to farm it, and then just note it.
Right. Yeah. Just being able to
note it.
effectively bank something is, or not bank, but note something is big for ultimates.
Yep.
Yeah, that's. Do you get? I wonder if they. I'd love to know if they consider things like that
No, they don't.
when they make these
I
updates?
hope they don't.
They do
Like
not.
it's such a small thing. If they want to plan every update with like a, but how does this affect the Ultimate Iron Man meta? Unless
Yeah.
it's something totally game breaking, like the death mechanics that they talked about a while ago, like that maybe you make a special exception. But in terms of removing nests from a drop table or something, like they shouldn't say like, oh, but Ultimate Iron Man, what do they think about them? Like they're concerned about Mainscape, as I think they should be.
Do you guys think they look at any updates at all for its impact on normal Ironman?
Yes,
I know they
they
said
do.
that they would never. They originally said that they would never pander the game to Ironman, but I think that outlook has also changed.
They have to. Like, such a large
Yeah.
portion of the active player base are Ironmen. Like, there's a lot of main accounts, but there'll be level 3 sitting at the GE, you know? So, like, people running around the game
Yep.
fishing, running around the game PVMing, a lot of them are Ironmen. Like, if you're not, like, thinking about Ironmen when you make updates, that's, like, a huge
Right.
portion of your player base. Like, you have to these days.
And you
And-
can
Did
tell
they-
that they do. There's no reason that they would throw, like, if you're concerned about a main, they're not going to throw some 500 noted drop of something that's always going to be worth like 5k to a main for no reason. Like, they just won't add a drop like that. They're going to do that because Ironman want it, like,
Right.
or it's useful for them.
Did they make that comment about not appealing to Iron Man for updates when Iron Man came out?
No,
They haven't
that
said
was
that recently.
a year or two after Ironman was released.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's a lot more popular now. So, and they've like made comments about not doing something due to Iron Man. So
And you guys think that they should do that, right?
I
That's a
think-
good thing to do.
I
think
think
let's
so.
just
But
think about everything, man.
considering how many people play Iron Man.
Just so one thing that I wanted to note was where they made the decantable potions at the GE. That was huge for Ultimate Iron Man. Like, they should have
Yeah,
thought
that
about
was-
that for
They
Ultimate
didn't
Iron Man.
consider. They didn't consider it at all. But
That's silly.
like,
They
I
should
mean-
have. Like, even though it's a small portion of the player base, that's such a huge impact on the game. Being able to note potions and like super combats especially. So like, I don't know. It's a big change to the game. They should at least think about it. I hope they thought about it. But things like that,
I don't think they did.
they shouldn't revolve the update around Iron Man, but they should just think about the impacts on it and think about whether it's huge or not.
I think
Do you
Squishy
think they
Aaron makes a
shouldn't have
pretty
done that
good point.
update? Because it impacted Ultimate Iron Man so
maybe
much.
so.
They could have just changed it for Ultimates.
Yeah, just
How would you guys have changed it though? Just say Ultimates
mean-
can't do this?
Well,
Yeah,
just-
the guy
just
walks
make it
up
so
and
it doesn't
says-
note them.
it was easy enough.
Fuck off, no bank.
Yeah. I don't talk to your kind.
Yeah, I'd be down with something like that.
That would have been better. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
And I think
But then again, does it make the game mode worse that they can now note potions and stuff?
I
Like,
think
It makes
a
it
lot
easier. A lot of the times before, you were just like getting 99 Herblore and dropping most of what you made, and then like every once in a while you would have like noted brew supplies or something around that you had to grind for separately. Now, like as a low level, like every single super attack that I make, and you can make a ton of those because the secondary is really easy to get. Like I can just bag those and keep them around for as long as I want.
For Slayer or something,
think-
like, it's
yeah.
huge. Everything.
Endgame Ultimate just seems way more appealing to me because of updates like that. Like,
Right, yeah. The fact that
You do
now if you
raids
want to
and, like,
do
unloads and
raids
brews and
2
stuff.
or raids 1, like all you have to do is hop to edge and then come back and unnote your stuff and you're ready to go. Like
yeah,
That is
it's
good.
more user
that's so much
friendly,
nicer in my opinion.
But it just
but
came
it's
so
definitely
late.
easier.
It came so late. Man.
Yeah.
If you play that mode for like 3-4 years and then this happens, like a fundamental change to the mode, it feels like shit.
I've talked to a bunch of them and they don't seem to mind. Like 4
Yeah.
or 5, and they seem to like it.
A lot of them have quit, man. Like I know a few Ultimate Iron Man that have just straight up quit the game because like.
Oh, I
the
think
level's
like
too nuts.
Lowlander and stuff, like 100%. I know for a fact he hates like the banks and stuff, and that's a big reason to why he quit. But
Yeah, but this
I
stuff
think for
keeps
the general
happening.
player, they
If
don't
you've
mind.
played Ultimate Iron Man for more than a year, like I haven't. So like if once this impacts me, I'm probably going to be pissed like these guys are. But like
It's like stash
looting
units.
bag. Yeah, looting bags, stash units, Vorkath. Like, it's
Yeah.
gonna keep fucking happening. Like, if you're playing the game mode and you think that you're gonna be in this cocoon that never changes and isn't drastically impacted, like, you're just out of your mind.
Do you think it would be like okay if they just tomorrow said Ultimates can't use Orcath, can't use a looting bag, can't note potions, things like that, or do you think it's just too late and that would be unfair?
The way I approach, I mean, other people are gonna have a very different, but like I approach the game mode like super hands off. I'm gonna play the game and whatever meta is appropriate for me at the time. Much more focused. Like if there's a mainscape update, obviously more of my main focus. If I'm playing Ultimate and the best thing for me to do is to barb fish while doing herb runs and birdhouse runs, like I'm just gonna do that. Like whatever it is at the time for my next decision.
Would I be fine
So you
with them
kind of
saying that and just making big changes, like we're pulling this mode to its core, like you're no longer making it so easy for everyone to do things? I think
I
I'd
just
be
know
fine
it's
with that.
going to happen.
I think I'd be
Oh.
fine with that. Like if they said, you can no longer use looting bags and stuff, I think that would be good because that's how the mode was meant to be.
No, the mode's meant to be that if you talk to a banker, he says you don't have a bank.
But you're meant to be restricted. That was the idea of the mode. That's what brought
Yeah,
people in at
no,
the
I
start.
know, and you are restricted still. I think that using non-bank banks is still not using the bank.
Yeah, and everyone will
Yeah, I mean,
have a different opinion.
That's a
about
big
it.
appeal to like the hardcore Ultimate Ironman meme. Like,
It is for the
That's
all
a
high
big
ranks.
meme, and no one's gonna play it long term. But like, I agree that as a game mode, it's like pretty fucking interesting because you can't
Yeah.
suicide.
yeah, that game mode would not last very long.
yeah,
But
it'd
I
be
think
good
it's
for like
definitely a
YouTube
cool
series or
idea.
some shit, but
yeah,
not for real people.
Yeah, DVS is probably interested.
Okay, let's move on. It's RuneFest. RuneFest 2018 this year. The event itself. What do you guys think of the event? Were you happy with it? Did you think it was cool? Will you be attending next year? Start with Jack.
Jack, you're the only one.
I
who
went. Yeah, I think I'm the only one who went here. But yeah, I went in 2017 and this year. It was fun. Met a lot of new people. I met Fatty there. He can't make the podcast, unfortunately. But yeah, it was nice to meet a lot of people, obviously. Same as last year. But yeah, I like the venue. It was pretty big and definitely better than last year. So I will definitely be going in 2019. And I think a few of you guys are going as well. So that'll be fun.
Did you see a noticeable increase in people from 2017 to 2018?
Yeah, I think it was about 1,000 more probably. Obviously, the venue was bigger, so the people were more spread out, so it's a bit harder to tell, I guess. But
Can't wait to meet the mobile players.
yeah,
Pog
and
chat.
obviously, PNEFC was rank 1 Ironman EHP at RuneFest.
Yeah,
I
except
think I got told
Sammy,
that
but
about
anyway.
5 times.
Sammy was there, but yeah. You mean Sam, dude, not Sammy.
My bad. Yeah,
Anyways.
Sam. Sammy's for 10-year-olds. You have to call him Sam.
Sammy makes me think of Psycho
Big Sam.
Sammy or whatever, Ravesy.
I think RuneFest looks fun though. I think a lot of the appeal, just like I've never been myself, but a lot of the appeal from people I've heard is not so much the venue, but rather getting to meet up and hang out with your friends and go to restaurants and things like that. So I'm almost certainly going next year, and I definitely looking forward to it. Pretty much not at all for the venue, but mostly for meeting up and hanging out with people.
Yeah, I want to go, but we'll see. I haven't confirmed anything. I'll probably decide closer to the date.
Yeah, it looks cool, but I mean, paying for a flight from Australia to the UK and stuff is really expensive and long flights and everything. So
Yeah.
if I lived
it's
there, I would
expensive.
probably go, but just the travel and pay and everything makes it not worth it. But it looks like a really cool event. I'd like to go one day.
It's pretty nerdy. Like, you have to
Yeah.
really be comfortable
It's-
being a nerd
it's
for
cool,
the
though.
the weekend. But I'll be attending next year. Me and Marianne will be at RuneFest, so that'll be exciting. I've had a few
Oh,
I'll go
Yes.
next goes.
I've had a few DMs from people like thanks, Oblivion thanks, who wants a hug. Looking forward to that. But no,
I
I'm
would
excited.
also like it. Ed.
I'm excited for RuneFest next year. It'll be great. I'm very excited to meet people. Talk to the mods, especially Ayiza. He loves me.
Shout out to the geezers.
Shout out to the Ayiza Geezers. And, can't wait to represent the Ayiza Geezers at RuneFest 2019. But I thought the event looked great. It looked lots of fun. The main appeal of it is the social aspect, meeting all your friends. It's just a
My
massive
main
trip.
appeal was the cosplay dude, but maybe that's just me.
No, the event looks good. I'm very happy with it. There'll be a lot more people next year because of the mobile players. And
Jack, what
Yeah, I
sorts
didn't
of
even think
things?
of that. That'd be interesting.
what's that?
What
Mickey?
sorts of things were there to do there during the day?
Uh,
That's what I
Not
was
much.
curious about.
Well, there was obviously events throughout the day, like meet and greets and the game show and that sort of thing. And I think they had some like weird quest things that you could do with. I don't know. You could go around and do different like little tasks or something like that. I didn't really do that. I was mainly good. Went there to meet people and just drink. But no, apart from that, there was just meeting people was the main sort of thing. I think for most people.
Yep, I think it looks really fun. I'll definitely be there next year. So
Okay. Next topic. Crystal Math Labs. So this is very topical because I believe the sale happened today. But Hate, the previous owner of Crystal Math Labs, has decided to sell the website to someone that's now been decided, I've heard.
it's been sold, yeah.
Yep. So, what do we think of Hate selling CML? Who would you like to see being the owner? We're not sure who the owner is yet, but there has been an owner decided. And how would you like to see Ironman EHP implemented to the website? Because right now it's pretty much useless. Like, we use it for criteria to enter the clan, because it's sort of the most accurate thing we've got. So, how would you like to see Ironman EHP implemented to CML? What's the current situation with Ironman EHP? What problems do we face with Ironman EHP and its implementation? And we'll start with Charmander. What do you think of Crystal Math Labs being sold and Ironman EHP?
So I think the fact that it was sold is really good. Personally, I have nothing against Hate, but I think getting to the point where you get angry at someone for something they said and banning them off the website is not really someone that I would want leading a website that I use every day. I think that's slightly unprofessional. Again, I have nothing against them, but that's just my opinion. As far as how I would like Ironman rates to be handled, I think it would be really cool if all rates were handled where there's a Discord server with, X amount of top players, people who are really active, really passionate about the game. And he would take their feedback and listen to them. And I want it to be a group activity in a sense. I think that one or just a few really vocal people deciding rates on things is not a good practice for a website. I hope that whoever the new owner is willing to listen to people, listen to what they have to say, and make real changes. Don't just ignore one huge part of your website because someone said something that hurt your feelings.
Looks like it's Jicklum.
Yeah, there was a tweet. Yeah, sorry, I linked the tweet in the Discord. So I don't know how you feel about Jicklum, but I think he's all right, I guess.
Yeah, I think Jicklum's a
I think
cool
he'll listen to us.
Wait, it's actually Jicklum.
Seems
That's
like
actually sick.
Huh.
Either that or I don't know. Like you said, like who could be the owner with like I don't know. He's definitely implying it's him.
Well, and then Zulu replied, so it was you and Rice Bunny, and he liked that tweet, so
But Jicklum's
Ooh.
also a troll.
it probably is Jicklum. Well, yeah, I guess. But
So,
We'll
I
see.
thought coming into this, so in the podcast question I did write, what do you think of Zulu owning CML? And my answer would have been, I would have loved Zulu to be the owner of CML. I think that would have been really good for the website and for the community. I think it's significantly worse to have Jicklum as the owner of CML. I think Zulu would have been a much more prominent leader, and he would have got Jagex endorsement and things like that, more advertisement for the website. Would have been more interested in the Ironman community and listening to us. I think Jicklum will not be as good as an owner, if that is him, as the owner
Terry
of CML.
says it's not Jicklum.
Well, I would hope not, to be honest, because you need someone really intelligent to be able to talk to Ironman for hours, to understand where the rates come from and how to implement it, and also to listen to everyone's input as well, not just like 5 people. You want to listen to everyone.
Yeah.
And also you need to be able to explain the rates to people. Like, once the owner listens to a few people explain the rates to him, he then needs to be able to explain the rates to everyone else and make everyone else happy, Jicklum would do such a poor job of explaining the rates to everyone because it's so fucking complicated.
I would love like a change log to how most like games and websites and things do, where you could just click and see what was changed, why it was changed, like the calculations behind it, things like that. I get questions all the time on why like the current mining rates go down so much at like 85 or whatever level it is, and like people who don't know or don't have anyone to ask just have absolutely no idea because there's nowhere you can go to find that out. I have no thoughts on Jiklum running CML, but I just hope whoever buys in is someone who's passionate about the game and willing to take time and listen and actually put effort into the website with how many people use it so often.
Exactly, because the rates we have right now on the current live version of CML are from 2017. 1 year ago, they were updated. We chose the rates 1 year ago for the Ironman rates. They haven't been
And
updated.
that's pre-forecast, correct?
Because the owner, like, Hate, is, like, immature, and he holds he, like,
There it
wants
is.
to, like, stop the whole community from running because of his personal hatred towards me. And that's ruined it for everyone. That sucks. Like, an owner shouldn't do that.
At least you'll get them banned now.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, hopefully.
it's just, I don't know. Either way, I think Ironman EHP is very complicated. Whoever owns the website needs to take multiple hours out of their day to talk to the Ironman and to be involved in our community and to hear everyone's input. And, like...
It's not Jiklum.
Not just, I hope not.
Who, like, why do you say that? It's not Jiklum.
I see some private messages leaked in another Discord I'm in, and it's definitely confirming not Jiklum.
That's
So
good. Good news.
it's just somebody.
Okay, well then, quickly touching on the Zulu subject.
So
I
now
also-
Fraser just flamed Jiklum for no reason, which is kind of fun.
He would not be a good owner.
It's
Let's
not
be real.
Jiklum at DNS. Yeah, CML on Discord just told me.
that it's not him.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
CML is the one who owns this like new CML Discord, who's maintaining secrecy but is communicative.
either
I
way,
would like to know.
I would have liked Zulu to have been the owner. That would have been good. He would have been a really good candidate. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see who owns it.
I would like to know if anyone else has differing opinions besides what I said on how EHP rate should be decided. Do you think it should be a medium-sized group of people who put a lot of time and effort? Do you think it should just be a few people who the site owner trusts? Do you think it should just be the site owner because it's his website? Does anyone else disagree with what I said and why?
I mean, if you bring in too many people, like you're never going to come to an agreement. I think having a smaller group of people who other people are in favor of having in there, I think that sounds pretty good.
I
So you
think
get
15, like 10, 15 people in a chat talking about the rates. You'd probably have 1 or 2 people leading the chat and explaining some spreadsheet that's been made and where the rates come from. And then people talking about that spreadsheet and what they think of that spreadsheet and where the errors are in that spreadsheet. Like 10, 15 people I think would be ideal. Just have like a CML chat. And a lot of us are friends, so it's good.
I think having 10 to 15 people discuss Ironman Slayer rates would just not go anywhere.
No, but the thing is, because we're all friends and we've already been talking about the same topic for years, because it's been a topic of discussion for years, is that we sort of know who would lead that discussion, and we'd also know sort of how the spreadsheet would work and what to think of it, you know? So it wouldn't be awful.
Shoutouts to Iron Higer.
Yeah. So we'd talk to people like that. They'd express why they made that spreadsheet and how that came about. And then we talk about that spreadsheet and what we think of it and whether it's realistic or not. I think it would be fun.
I just have one thing. So I'm obviously pretty new to Ironman, but how objective actually are EHP rates? Because if someone can actually do the calculations and come up with an EHP rate for something, I guess it doesn't really matter how many people there are discussing it. So our EHP rate, I guess what our EHP is like, it's like completely subjective. Can they be? I don't know. Do we have to have a big discussion about it, or can someone just do the math about it?
You can just have one person do it. So in the past, it's been mainly like me, Vaddy, Tyler, Ayabada has been involved in a lot of the calcs.
probably
just
throw
people like
Hiker in
that.
there at some point.
Yeah, Higer. Maybe Higer too.
But I'm talking about like the previous rates, like the current rates on the website were decided by that group of people.
Oh,
that
yeah.
didn't include Higer. But the previous rates, that's how they were chosen in the past. We hopped on like Tyler's Discord. And we said, hey, what should the rates be? And then we decided them, and then we sent them to the CML owner, and he put them in the website. He didn't even think about it, honestly. So
I think
it was
that's
just sort of our decision.
good. I mean, Jack, to answer your question, there's a lot of like skills that are just unobjective. Things like fishing and mining to a point, you can't get over, and you can consider under a specific rate to be EHP. But I think the discussion would really come into play with Slayer, especially like Slayer,
Herbal.
Prayer's kind of
Yeah, that's
awkward,
true.
Herblore. Even
RLG
Hunter
next.
with like all the new methods they're adding, like chins, herbivores, maybe the fishing, birdhouses. Like there's so many things to consider. So some skills, like I said, fishing, mining, even agility to a point is pretty easy.
No, agility's kind of complicated because of swimming. Like, and how many amylays you need
how many
for
marks you
staminas, and whether you
Yeah.
should factor that into. So, one thing I will say about EHP rates is that I think they need to reflect the current state of the game. They need to reflect what is currently meta. Like, for example, meleeing Necreals is meta. That is the best way to train Herblore. So, meleeing Nex should be Slayer EHP, even though I would never melee Nex, because I know that Slayer will be changed in the future, and I know that meleeing Nex will never be macro long term. So I would never do that, but the EHP rate should be meleeing Nex, because that is the current version of the game. That's what EHP rate should reflect.
So you're basically saying you don't think that they should take into account the fact that Herblore will
No, they
always
shouldn't
get
do that.
faster. Herblore
Yeah.
and Slayer
I'll
will
update it when it
always get
happens.
faster.
Update it when it happens,
I
in my
agree.
opinion.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I have one more thing on the EHP topic. So how do you feel about when EHP rates change, your whole entire lifetime EHP also changes to fit those rates? Because obviously, in the past, you will have been getting EHP, but even as skills get faster and stuff, you'll lose it. So it's not really an accurate number of how long you've played or how long efficiently you've played. For example, Nature Runes used to be EHP for mains. And then when it was changed, obviously people lost a lot of the EHP, even though they were still playing at the EHP rate.
But then the
At
macro
that time.
players,
I wonder if there is a...
like macro
Sorry,
players
yeah.
that never did natures and they were already doing lavas, or whatever, they would have like had really inflated EHP. That's just silly, right?
It's true, yeah.
So
That's always happened, and EHP has to change. So like, if you kept like that historical EHP and it never went down, it only went up, you wouldn't have a track of who is closest to 200 mil all, which is the overall goal of the site, is to keep that high score around.
Yeah, I think
That's
it
true.
really depends on how you view EHP, because it sounds like the way you're talking about it, you view it as how many efficient hours you have played, and a lot of people view it as how close to 200 mil all you are,
Right.
and things like that,
that's
and
not
how
realistic
far.
for Ironman, though. That's not a realistic perspective or idea to have. Is that I'm going for 200 mil all.
200 mil all.
Fuck no, I'm
Yep.
not. I'm gonna have a life in 5 years, in 10 years. But
Do you think it would be worth like treating the site differently for Ironman versus mains?
no, I think
As in,
I think what
Ironmans maintain their EHP and mains lose it?
No, I think it should just be updated when devaluation happens. You just lose hours as is.
Just lose. Yeah,
I think it's
Yep.
fine.
that definitely sucks, but I
It
agree.
It should
it's
just
probably
always be
better.
an accurate representation of the current metagame. The current
Yep.
what's currently efficient should just always be on what's on the site.
Agree.
Okay, so CML owner, unfortunately not Zulu. I think we would have all been pretty happy with Zulu. I think Zulu would have been a good owner. Someone else.
I'm talking to the owner now.
Would you like to come on
And
the
he just-
podcast?
No, not coming on the podcast. But I asked him if he wanted me to say anything to the Iron Lads, and he said that he's contacted gens of Omnia and Solus to talk about main EHP rates. He's going to be contacting Olympus mods before too long as well.
Oh,
So
That's what I like to
definitely
hear.
looking to be communicative and I don't know, listen to what you guys have to say.
That's
So
exciting.
That's really sick.
That's really cool.
yeah.
Very exciting.
Let's move on now. So, Winter EHP Classic. So that is a currently ongoing competition for the sweatiest of nerds. What are our thoughts on the competition? What teams and players are you supporting? And what team has the best name? So we'll start with Dan.
Well, I'm the manager of one of these sweaty teams. I manage the Jagex Jostlers, which is a franchise in the EHP competition game. I'm supporting my own team, as you might expect. I have 2 Ironmen on my team, which I'm pretty stoked about. with Timos,
Yeah.
who, as I understand, is more of like an up and comer in the community, putting up some fat weeks, mainly fishing right now, and Jimmy, who is the light of my life. So that's pretty good too. Other notable Ironmen, Higer and Lycrid both really popped off last week. Rooting for them as players because I like to see Ironmen do well in what is ultimately like mostly a mains competition because they don't have the option to just sit and spam like Bruise or Dehyde or whatever for the week. A lot of the times they're doing something a little bit more intensive. Best team name, probably the Jagex Jostlers. Yeah, I like our team name a lot.
All right.
I would-
So, Charmander?
Really quickly, I would love to have some insight on the type of things you do as a manager, if you don't mind. 'Cause,
Sure.
I have no idea what you actually do
Right.
besides just
So,
say I own the
like
team.
95% of the work that is done for managing in terms of like that ultimately impact your team is before the draft. So the draft works just like any kind of fantasy sport that like I got the 8th pick in the draft. So like that's the last of the first round. And then like you have to plan out like different situations where in this case I want this person. So I picked Karma first and then Boogeyman second. But if Boogeyman's not available, maybe I want this person or whatever. So a lot of reaching out and talking to people beforehand. During the season, setting a lineup, engaging in trades, picking people up off the waiver, and motivating players, I suppose, is the last bit of work.
Right,
Pretty
so
interesting.
I think the competition overall is a very good thing for the community. I think it's very social. It makes people talk, as you were saying, especially prior to the competition. Everyone has to talk about what their commitments are, how much they'll be playing the game, whether they like people or not. I feel like that's important, that you're on a team
Right.
that you like people. Because if you hate someone on your team, like, what's the motivation to play the game, like, as much as you possibly can to win the competition, you know? So,
Yeah, so like going into the draft, I pretty much had a Solus timeline and an Omnia timeline because I know if like even if it's the best pick for that spot, like having that like cross motivation between two people that I can get like Karma and another Omnia member or something, that's going to impact things more than just having one or whatever.
exactly. So I think the competition is very good, in theory. I feel like the competition in practice is very unhealthy. I feel like people play
Oh,
the game
yeah.
way too much. That's not a good thing. I feel like it's a very good social competition. It's really good for the community. It makes people talk more, which I think is awesome. That's one of the reasons we opened Olympus, is to encourage a more friendly social vibe in the community where people can just chill and CC and talk. But fantasy makes people talk. It's a good competition. It's a little bit unhealthy, I think.
Yeah, I think it's too long. Like I've always been in favor of competitions in the community,
Just a week or
but
two,
really
maybe.
nothing more than a week, and that doesn't happen. Like this is like 10 weeks, 11 weeks or something with 1 week break. So
Yeah,
it's a
that's
lot.
10 weeks. That's too
Wow.
much.
Yeah,
Well,
Like,
it's like
how does
each
this
week
affect
is-
people that like can't be on all day every day?
they don't get picked.
you wouldn't get drafted
You don't
probably.
get picked,
Big
This
basically.
is
L.
just like
L
a
for
neat
non-needs.
competition.
Well, it's
Yeah, I was like
not.
looking at the document. I don't know any of the people that are even in it except like 4 people.
Yeah, but you're pretty normie, even though you're a max target Ironman.
Thanks.
Yeah, I don't know. I heard like maybe 5 names that I didn't recognize in the draft. So I don't know.
I knew pretty much everyone that was drafted, except for obviously the outliers that were just people's friends that
Right.
were coming back to the game. But what teams and
These are
players?
just all the neats.
Pretty
What?
much. But
I see.
what teams and players am I supporting? I'll be supporting the Ironman. So Arzenian Guardians, rooting for Higer and Lycrid. They are the stars of the show, as far as I'm concerned. I hope they win.
Yep.
I'd love to see them win. Also supporting Stiskilla and Jimmy, I guess, even though, yeah, I'd like to see him do well. I don't think he will do well, but I'd like to see the others do well as well, because I think
What
they're...
the fuck,
Timo,
man?
dude.
Come on, man, he's burnt. But
I am cheering solely for Timos. Dude, you
yeah,
inspire
Timos too.
me.
Hope he does great.
Yep.
Also,
You are
what
an
team has the
absolute
best name? I think the Prefatus Box Traps, pretty good name. But also the
Big up, Luffy.
Jostlers, maybe. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Charmander?
I think whatever team Timos is in has the best name, so the Jagex Jostlers. Hands down, the best name. That's all I have to say. No further comments.
Next, you that?
Yeah, I'm rooting for basically all the Ironmen. I think it's really cool how the competition can highlight some of the like sort of unknown but really good players like Lycrid.
Yeah.
I don't think many people knew him before the competition, but
Yeah,
obviously
no one
yeah.
knew Stesko before last
Yeah.
year, and he just obviously completely popped
Yeah.
off.
And what 3 of the top 10 are Ironmen? I think that's really cool. All in Olympus too, which is even cooler. So yeah, I
Olympians.
think the competition overall is cool. Rooting for the Guardians because it has the most Ironmen,
Yeah,
but
what's there?
probably the Jostlers have the best name, just because of like social media presence and shit. Seen the most like funny shit posting by them. So
Ship posting's great.
Yeah. It's
Mickey,
great.
do you have any thoughts on Winter EHP?
Yeah, it's very healthy. Keep it up. Go Ironman.
Alrighty. What
Something
are
like that.
I would like to really. How would you guys like, quote unquote, fix fantasy EHP to, like, not pander just to neats, or do you
So,
think that doing it for a week or 2 weeks?
Originally, the game plan for winter, like normally during summer, it's people on summer vacation or whatever.
Right.
During winter, the original game plan was like a series of 72-hour comps. So like just naturally, there's a bunch of breaks because it's over weekends. I think that would have been a pretty decent idea, but it seemed like people were really in favor of the week-long ones. Also, keep in mind, it's not the same people starting every week.
Right.
So if you are playing the same people and expecting them to play over 100 hours multiple weeks in a row, you either have to A, be very certain they're not going to burn out, or B, they're gonna burn out eventually, probably, unless you really know them.
Okay, next topic.
Interesting. I think I would. One more comment. I think I would
Sure.
definitely. I think it would be really sick if it was over the weekends, just like over span of weekends, like you said. I think that would be really cool, where more people who have full-time jobs or who can't commit those whole weeks would have time to show that they're talented, they're good, they can play those long stretches, just maybe not for a week straight.
What would you
Yeah,
think?
and a lot of people,
Sorry, you go.
a lot of people competing aren't like this 120 a week plus super
Yeah.
neat that you're describing. There's a lot of people who are playing that are working, and they either have phone zone, or if they're students, then they're able to do something during class or whatever. So it's really not as bad as it's describing. A lot of the people that are being talked about, so like Lycrid and Higer doing 120 plus, like the average person in the comp is doing probably 80 to 85, which is pretty feasible with full-time work.
13
Yeah,
hours a day.
especially
Let's just make that clear. 13 hours a day, right?
Well, that includes Nightmare Zone, though,
12 hours
right?
a
You
day?
get 30 hours of Nightmare Zone.
Of efficient.
You get 25 of 1-to-1 Nightmare Zone, so that's like
Oh.
50 hours of work.
It's a lot of
My
RuneScape
record
now.
week with like 55 hours of work last fantasy was like 95 to 100. I would have to see what EHP rates changed it, but I know it's at least 95. So a little bit of sleep deprivation, but if you're not doing it every week, it's not going to kill you.
Right. How many people are you allowed to have on your bench? Like, how many
You
people
have
do you
10
actually have
people on
your
the team and 6 start every week. So you have a cycle of 4 that hopefully you're cycling in
That's-
and out every week.
Pretty good. Okay, that's all the questions I had about that.
I just
Thanks
want
for
to
sharing.
add, what would you guys think of if they changed it to a weekly competition, but you have a week to do the best 6 hour of a certain skill for that week? So let's say the first week is hunter, second week is fishing, third week is woodcutting, fourth week is mining. Everyone in the competition on that team has a week to do their best 6 hour for that skill, and then all the XP is added up for that week for those 6 hours. See, that would be a lot more healthy in my opinion, and maybe even more competitive. What would you guys think of something like that instead?
So you do a 6 hour.
So
What,
okay,
do you,
so you know how
do
we
you
have
get
the
like one attempt, or you get multiple attempts?
multiple. So it's just putting up the top 6 hour you can for the week. So you know how we did the Olympus, what was it, fishing
Yeah.
6 hour comp? It'll be like that, but for fantasy. So it's week 1 of fantasy is fishing. You take everyone's best 6 hour for the week and you add them up. See who did the best, who's the most micro. That's more interesting in my opinion than being innate.
I agree with what someone said in chat that would be a sort of different competition, because one of the like things with fantasy is like basically sleep deprivation and how well can you maintain your rates and how much can you get while giving up sleep and things like that.
Right.
So I think that would be a really fun competition, but I don't think it would be the fantasy that everyone's thinking of.
Would you be able to run something like that alongside fantasy so people can put in their top 6 hours for the week? Maybe that would be interesting. But just
That's not a question for me.
Food for thought. Anyway, let's move on. What are the best Ironman accounts overall right now? So I'll start. I'll share my thoughts. This is actually a topic that comes up a lot for Ironman, and we just talk about who has the best account. It's always been a question, because it's sort of hard to evaluate Ironman rather than mains. If you're thinking about mains, you look at the high scores, you look at CML. You don't really think about what items that person has or what they're worth and stuff like that. But for Ironman, you sort of have to, because not everyone plays for XP. Some people play to PVM, some people play with separate mindsets. So you always think about what Ironman has the top account. And my answer to this question was always an Ultimate Ironman, Dog Goat was his name. Sorry, stuttering. I always said that he had the top account because he had so much PVM gear on his Ultimate Ironman. Like he had Spectral, he had Prims, he had like all the top PVM gear. He had T-Bow, all that sort of stuff. And then I would say Aloe afterwards, because he has so much PVM gear. It's actually unreal. Like, Say Aloe has way more PVM than people realize. And also, so I would say probably right now, I think my answer would be Say Aloe, probably has the top account, or Hyga. Say Aloe or Hyga have the top accounts. And then probably Dids, just because he's rank 1, and he's rank 1 by a lot as well. So Hyga, Dids, Say Aloe would be my answer.
I think in my next, I can't see the document. Anyways, I think I'd like to break it down into like ultimate, hardcore, and normal iron. I don't really have an opinion on hardcore. I guess my opinion would just be next because he's ahead by a pretty large margin. I don't know much about, like, the other hardcore Ironman aren't as big as people like Aloe are in the game. So for hardcore, I'd just say next because
that's obvious.
Of all his XP,
He's
basically.
a huge lead.
Yeah. For Ironman, I think probably Aloe, like you said, or if not Lycrit or Hyger, one of those guys. I think a bunch of XP is really impressive on an Ironman, but I think to me, I value, in terms of who has the flat best Ironman, I value your overall skill in the game. So, like, I love skilling. I'm trash at PVMing. I am utter garbage and I hate it. So I have huge respect for people like Aloe and Lycrit, who are, Lycrit can compete in fantasy and put up those huge weeks, and then he can also PVM with the best PVMers in the game. I think that's super insane. Huge respect.
Yep. I would put Lycrit up there, but Lycrit has no T-Bow. But aside from that, he has a rapier and everything. Very impressive.
Yeah, I think that's really sick. And then Ultimate Ironman, I think Doggoat is pretty crazy. So that would be mine.
I think for regulars, probably like PVM / skilling wise, probably Aloe, and then like just XP wise, I'd go Dids just because he's super consistent. Plus playing like a ton of accounts, plus his like main account is just insanely good. For hardcores, probably Owisp. I don't know how to say his name, but it's like Owispa Kaljot or something. Yeah, that. He's like almost max as a hardcore and has a ridiculous amount of PVM items, including like TOB and stuff. And then for ultimates, yeah, Dog Goat, from what I've heard, his account's really insane. So I'd go with him.
Jack?
So I would probably go with Aloe as well, just following the trend. But Aloe is obviously has an awesome account and he used to do a lot of PVM. I think he slowed down a little bit. He obviously does the solo raids and stuff now, but yeah, I really like his account and he's quite a big inspiration for me. Also, Lelador, I know he doesn't really play anymore, but watching his videos a long time ago sort of got me into Ironman quite a lot. So yeah, and I liked the way he did his farming and all that sort of thing. So yeah, Lelador was pretty cool. And then I would say Oyster as well for Hardcore Ironman, just because he is a PVM prodigy, and he's doing TOB and that sort of thing. So he's got the balls. So I don't really follow the Ultimate community much, so I can't really comment. But
I just want to comment on Lela that
yes.
his playstyle, it was very impressive. He had a huge lead on everyone, but his playstyle was to do the real Ironman-y skills like crafting, prayer, things where you had to collect your own things like herb lore, and those were devalued really hard after he did it. So I can see why that demotivated him to like keep playing the game so much, because everything he worked so hard for was the time was like almost halved. Like his efforts and stuff were just halved with future updates. So that really sucks. But for sure Lela had the top account until maybe 2016. But even then, say Elo from the start, he was like what, third, fourth, fifth Ironman to max, somewhere in there. And he's been playing from the first day, like 12 hours a day. He's a massive nerd. He has an awesome account.
While we're on the subject of Aloe, I would just like to quickly remind everyone that he did drop and leave his only bulwark in a solo raid, and is now doing more solo raids to get it back.
He has the
So
pet,
I
right?
think I would.
Does he have
Yeah,
everyone?
he got it while he was going for a bulwark.
Okay,
actually,
so he has everything except for Bulwark. And
yep.
he's still
I'm pretty
raiding
sure he
up.
has the challenge mode pet as well. So literally just bulwark.
Yeah,
um,
yikes.
So I definitely like to denounce my vote and say Lycrit has the best account. That's all.
And Mickey, what are your thoughts on the top Ironman?
Yeah, I don't really have a strong opinion on it. I think everyone's kind of just gone with who has a lot of PVM and most XP. I mean, obviously they're the best. It's, pretty objective. I think like on hardcores, those who have the most PVM, like the hardcores that are doing TOB are quite impressive. I don't see myself doing TOB ever.
Like Golden Axe, we should shout out.
Yeah, Golden Axe. I can't pronounce that guy's name. I'm just going to mention Tails because I'm biased. I think he's a cool dude. He made the account when Hardcore came out, and he has a lot of EHP. And it's an interesting account build. So
Yeah, I think also Tails would definitely be up there for someone who's done so much PVM on his 45 defense account. Also with over 1 bill XP, but kind of just gets overlooked because he's not on the front page. But Tails and Bike Trail are both beasts.
I think Steve skill out too. Like he started as a hardcore,
Yeah,
and then
for sure.
died, and he's like an
Very
insane
impressive.
Ironman now. Like his EHP is crazy. Yeah,
For sure.
it's really good.
Like when he goes in, like he really puts up really big hours. I think that's
Yeah,
super cool.
Okay.
Also, shout out to DJMX is another hardcore. I don't know if you guys remember him.
He's now dead, but yeah. Ex-hardcore
yeah.
Ironman.
But he had an infernal cape on his hardcore, by the way. He did a ton of PVM and he died PVMing, actually. But I think had he not died there, which is obviously not something you can really consider, but I think his account was really sick.
It's
Another one to
similar
mention
fuses.
Another one to mention is Chris Rec.
Yep.
Yeah, the guy he did Rune Crossbow Inferno on his hardcore with
Rec
no
had a very
rigor.
good
That sort of
account.
thing.
Lots
Yeah, he's
of PVM.
impressive. And then he died to Armador.
Yeah, unfortunate. Okay, let's move on. The polling system. So this is actually a very important topic because now we have a lot more people to vote on the polls. Is the polling system useful? Is it outdated? What are some suggestions for improvements? So I'll start. My thoughts on the polling system is that it's been useless since 2016. I think when the game was released and they thought up the idea of the polling system, that it was awesome because everyone was excited for the return of RuneScape. Everyone thought that having their say on the game was important because the companies fucked up in the past and ruined the game. And that everyone voted on the polls for the first year or two with like the integrity of the game and the longevity of the game at the forefront of their like voting. They voted with like the health of the game in mind. After 2016, shift click is polled, things like that. People vote for what helps them in the game from about 2016 onwards. That's no longer useful. You just like most things will pass at that point because the people who vote are the active players and they're the ones that are going to use the update, right? So it's not healthy for the game anymore, in my opinion. It's no longer useful either. My opinion is that something similar to, say, take the people that vote, take their total level, and take their hours played, and make some sort of metric out of their hours played and total level, maybe multiply it or something, and apply a weighting to their vote with like their hours played in mind. Because I'll tell you, my opinion compared to a level 50 noob at the GE, my opinion is a whole lot fucking more important. Like, it is. Like, a level 50 noob, I've played this game for years, I played 10 hours a day, I've kept up with every update, I've been here since the start. My opinion is important for these updates. A level 50's noob that came from mobile, his opinion's not so important. And they need to weight these votes, because my opinion is not equal to others. And that sounds awful to say, but it's true. And they need to think of things like that. Like, veterans need to have a strong voice with these updates, because like, if a Jmod polls something that's awful for the game, it'll pass, because people will use it. People will think, oh, I can take a lead in the competition by this update passing. And that's just not good anymore. It's no longer healthy, and there needs to be a change to the poll system.
Okay, so I definitely agree with your weighting, but how would you handle things like PvP updates and skilling updates and PVM updates? Because sure, I have, whatever, 4,500 EHP, but I have no right really to vote in a PVM update besides like what I think on the surface, like that seems kind of bad for the game. And especially in terms of PvP, like I have no idea what I'm talking about in terms of PvP.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
So do you think that just because I've played for 4,500 hours, I should be able to say, delete the Gmall from the game, or what?
Look, I think they've already got their PvP Discord happening. I think Shawnee runs it, and they've got all the PvPers in that Discord, and they talk to a user and Swain in a pretty open communication. So I think PvP's sorted. But thinking about PVM, those discussions should happen in the Oblivion Discord. Like, when it's really important and it's not a broad question about, like, the Moss Giant boss. Moss Giant boss, sure, I think my input's pretty useful there. I can say whether that's shit for the game or not. And I think it's fine. It wasn't useful, but it's fine. Like, but important PvP updates, they've got their Discord for that. Important PVM updates, they've got the Oblivion Discord for that. There's hundreds of people, if not over 1,000 people in the Oblivion Discord. And there's lots of mods in that Discord as well. I feel like they can get all their feedback from those players there, but prior to polling things. And when I talk about like some sort of weighting to do with your hours played, I'm not talking EHP. I'm talking like hours logged into the game, like at hands or something. Because someone with 10 hours played is not comparable to my 500 days played. There should be some sort of weighting there, or my total level or something like that. Because people, the reality is my opinion is more important than a lot of level 50 noobs. And just like Charmander's opinion is more important, or anyone here's opinion is very important. Because we're high-level players, we played the game a lot, we have a lot of input and knowledge of the game, and we should be able to express that and have that mean something, like rather than it be equated to one of the new mobile players. So there should be some sort of weighting with the polls, or it should just be removed even, because they've got all these separate Discords now for skilling, not skilling, I think skilling's the worst one actually, but PVM and PvP. The mods talk to all the influential people in those communities, which is really good on their part, actually. Swain and Aegis have done a very good job.
So yeah, I would agree with that. I'd also say that the JMods with the current poll system can effectively choose what they want to put in the game.
Yep.
Because most of the stuff's going to pass if they word it correctly.
Yep.
If they make it sound nice and something fun or whatever that people want, makes the skills like rune crafting or something easier, then it's going to pass every time. So I think definitely something where they consult a lot of the high-level community and that sort of thing before they poll stuff, I think would be definitely a good idea. I know they've made progress on that, but a lot more of that would be good to see.
Sorry, I'll just hijack this for a second. I just want to mention a lot of things that they poll and put into the game are nothing similar to what they suggest. So an example of this is Fossil Island. They put out a blog for Fossil Island. They explained what underwater agility and thieving would be, what sort of rates would be. They even put those rates into the poll question. Should we introduce underwater agility and thieving at 30k agility an hour, 110k thieving an hour? Yes, no. 85% of people said yes, sure, that's good. And it's nothing close to that. It's twice those rates. We were lied to. Like, this is not what we voted for. Like, the level 5 to 35 hunter method that I do every morning and night, and like 5 times throughout the day, that is essential to Ironman mode, that was polled as a level 5 to 35 hunter method. It's not that. It's a maxed account hunter method. Like, what they suggest to us, as in, like, all these activities, like herbivore or whatever, Herbivore was done pretty well, to be fair. It was just tested poorly. But Volcanic Mine, they said Volcanic Mine would be an engaging activity that if you AFK'd, you'd be killed. No.
Very click intensive.
I've done Volcanic Mine. I've done a lot of Volcanic Mine. It's AFK. There's nothing about it
It
that's
is-
high engaging.
More AFK than Motherlode Mine is.
So, one issue that I have with the poll system is that their blogs change so much from what is initially suggested to what's actually implemented, and you can't be polling things that you change so much. Like, we're lied to. Like, I never wanted like the level 5 to 35 hunter method put in the game, because it's not a level 5 to 35 hunter method. Like, when I do those runs every hour, that's not me training a low-level hunter. That's not what was polled. So yeah, that's another issue that I have with the poll system.
Yeah, or they need to stop saying, I don't know, like they can't pull it and not say a
Yeah.
rate, but if they say max rate, they need to fucking back that up. Like,
Yeah.
I don't get it at all, like how they can say that. But I also
would
think that talking about balancing versus just like the quality of the content, like that always needs to be like a separate discussion. So like if there's a really good QOL for bird runs, like that's a different discussion than like just being able to like than nerfing it or something, you know what I mean? So
Nothing about nests was mentioned in that blog. Nothing about nests was mentioned in that poll. And it's put in the game. And their argument is, well, you voted for this. Well, you want this in the game. Fuck no, I don't. I don't want any
Are
of
you
this in the
referring
game.
to the original Birdhouse poll?
Yeah, the
There was
poll
no
on the
mention about
blog.
this?
Yeah, nothing.
I didn't know that.
And they said it's a level 5 to 35 hunter method. Fuck no, it's not. Volcanic Mine's gonna
yeah,
be
they were
high
like
engaging
mid-level
activity.
hunter is kind of bad. We're looking to tackle that.
I'll actually link
To
the
be fair,
blog
it
in
does
the
tackle
chat.
mid-level hunter.
It does. It tackles all
otherwise.
hunter.
Yeah.
Low,
And,
mid, and high level, all taken care of.
And another thing with the whole dev blog and polling thing is that it shows how many times they have to go back and nerf stuff or change things. It shows the inconsistencies with what they actually poll and what they put in the game. For example, with Soul and Blood Rune Crafting, I don't know if you remember when that was put in the game. It was polled, or it was said on the dev blog that it was a higher level activity, or
Yep.
not
High effort,
high effort
Very-
activity.
Very
When it
quick.
was put in the game, you could click. I mean, VR did a video where he fucking went and took a shower while he was mining the rock. So they had to nerf that, and it's still not a high effort activity. So very
Okay, so we talked about how all the rates are, bad and things like that. How do you guys think they should handle things like that? Should they just have people like an open beta where people can test things and show them real rates? Do you think they should just let specific players, not quite an open beta, but like, I don't want to say let the streamers test because most of them are.
I think they
garbage,
just put out some apple juice and some bacon burgers and let Paizuri test everything, and then we'll know if it's fucking broken or not.
But
'Cause, like,
Child labor
bigger.
laws might get in the way, though.
To be fair, in Torment, like what Torment was saying is they've tried this before with PVM, like race 2 testing. They've got people like Scott Wilson that live like 10 minutes from the headquarters that could just try the content. Because one of my main issues with that Fossil Island blog is that they say in like, I think it was like one of the emphasized points with the Volcanic Mine was that tick manipulation methods would not be possible within the Volcanic Mine. Now, the only possible way to tick manipulate in the Volcanic Mine was the way that you could do it. Like, the only one way you could think about doing it was what worked and was in the game for over a month. And you got over 150,000 mining an hour. That was not
The
tested.
same way you 3-tick everywhere else is the exact same way you 3-tick in Vault.
That's fucking ridiculous. Like, if you're gonna highlight that in your blog and keep talking about, like, no, you can't 3-tick, and it's the only way you can and it works, and you're getting 150k an hour mining for over a month, you fucked up. Like, you're awful testers. Get someone that knows how to play the game in to test the content.
That's the same sort of thing with mobile won't affect the main game and things like that. They have a big track record of making these bold statements that just pretty much hold no weight. I think it would be better if they just, one, like had some real people testing, which I don't know how feasible that is to like have people test every single update, or just don't make the statement. Like, just leave it open. It looks really bad when you say things like mobile won't affect the main game, and then weeks later you have updates literally that were on mobile. Like, that just makes you look stupid.
I mean, one example is Scott Wilson, right? He lives 10 minutes from the headquarters. Everyone thinks he's a really good player. He's shown he's a really good player. PVMing, skilling, everything. He's overall a very good player. He knows the game inside out. If they paid him $100 for the afternoon to come and try the update, and then they got real feedback on the content, that would be fucking useful. Like, why not just use him? Like, that's one example of someone they could pull in, and he'd happily do that, I'm sure.
Couldn't they just have like a locked world? And
Yeah,
then
or
certain
something like
people
that.
can access it? They don't have to like send them to the HQ.
But, okay, so I want to pull this back to polling. This question was about polling, whether the polling system is useful or outdated, and what are some suggestions for improvements. My suggestion was they put some sort of weighting towards the polling system, and they poll actually what they want to put in the game. So I'm going to pull this back to Nex. Nex, what is your opinion on the polling system? Do you think the polling system is outdated? Do you think it's useful? What are some suggestions that you have for the polling system?
I think it was good in the first few years, but now with so many players, it's just pretty shitty. I think they need to do like a sort of revamp on it. Like weighted votes is a really good thing. Hiding poll results, like polling shit like the spell book, like making the icons bigger. Like that's obviously gonna pass. They shouldn't pull it in the first place. And like I'm sure if they added like left click fucking ticking to granite and shit, like that would legitimately pass. But they just should never pull things like that. Like they just really need to put some thought into what they're actually polling, because it will pass the majority of the time.
Mickey?
I agree with Nex. I think it was really, really good at the start with the polling, but integrity, like people care less about integrity now. There's too many new players, especially with mobile. Mobile makes this quite scary because they're all like mobile gamers, like they're used to playing microtransaction easy games. Yeah.
And
It's kind of screwed now, the polling system. There needs to be some kind of weighting. It needs to be changed.
And really, like, I don't think that's, like, unforeseeable. Like, people, when it's the like, old school RuneScape was introduced, people vote for the health of the game in mind, right? That was awesome. That was really nice. But I don't think it's a terrible thing that people vote for their own self-interest now. That was expected. People will vote for what they want in the game and what helps them. And that's not, like, evil or anything. That's not unexpected. People will vote for what they want, right? And people want Easyscape. And, like, I think the whole polling system needs to be revamped completely, and it's useless right now. It has no input on anything, really. Like, they're not receiving feedback on polls or anything. It's just sort of what the mods want in the game, and that's fine. But don't, like, the polling system needs to be changed or removed. It's no longer useful, in my opinion. Alright,
And what do you think would be the best way to change it, with the total level weighting, like you said?
potentially. I don't
Or
know. I
just-
feel like
or
they've
just
employed community
remove it
managers
altogether?
to lead these discussions that shouldn't be happening on an Olympus podcast. I feel like they've got this like useless feature in the game of polling, and they talk about it every week, and it has no impact on the game. I think a user or Swain need to lead a discussion about how to change the poll system, because it is useless. It has no influence over anything. Everything passes, and people who play the game a lot, their opinion should be worth something. Like, I have no incentive to ever vote. I've probably never voted, to be honest, because my opinion
Yeah, I don't
means
vote
nothing.
anymore, actually.
Yeah, same.
Who the
Yeah,
fuck
I
I've
votes?
voted.
voted, I haven't voted in years.
There's so many questions too. Like, it's gonna take you fucking ages to vote.
If I
Like
knew,
some of the
Yeah.
80 questions.
like, if I knew my opinion was worth something on that poll, I would vote. I'd voice my opinion. I'd go there and I'd be like, I'm a maxed Ironman with 500 days played. Yeah, this vote is going to be worth something compared to the 2 hours played level 50. But,
Yo,
a user or Sway need to do something about the polling system. I'm not happy with it. Okay, I'm going to move on.
I think that when the game started, like you said, people were really, really focused on integrity.
Yes.
And the longer the game has gone on, people have just stopped caring about integrity and just started voting yes to everything, pretty much. Except PvP updates still just get voted no to. But I think they're doing a great job with those lately.
See,
But pretty much everything else, like, no matter what you poll, maybe the new skill is the first thing in a while that I'll say I'm not sure if it'll pass. But Kebos, Lowlands, new quest, all that stuff, all of it's going to pass. Why even waste time polling it?
okay,
like,
let's
just put it
say
in the
sailing
game.
was polled. Sailing would pass. Well, let's be real. Sailing would 100% pass.
Yeah.
I'm certain of that.
Today. Yeah.
Today it would, yes. It hasn't in
At
the
least it's
past.
better than warning.
Yes, and solely for that reason, I think sailing would pass. But I don't think the polling system serves the purpose that it's there for. Especially with PvP updates, that's a really good point. Like, PvP updates. What's the point of polling PvP updates? Just talk to the people in the PvP scene, see what's good for the game, and put that in the game. There's no harm in that.
I should have no say over what you can do in the wilderness at
Right.
all, especially with, like, you keep putting these things in the wilderness, like black chins and wildy bosses and things like that, and that makes me want to vote no even more. Like, because assume I vote selfishly, like the majority of people do. Do I want the wilderness to be active? Absolutely not. I'm just going to vote no to everything. But that's not right. That's not how the polling system should be. So I think it definitely needs to be completely changed. Do I think they'll do it? Pretty much not at all. So.
Okay. Anyone anything to say about polling, or should I move on?
I think without polling, stuff like warding would pass. Like, we probably would have had a new skill by now if the old school team was in charge of it, and there just was no polling, which would be really bad for the game.
I think there just needs to be more discussion.
Yeah. They've got community
That's
managers
it.
for that reason. They've added another community manager, right? Like that Mod Gambit? Is he a community manager?
I didn't even
Not
know
sure.
there was a new mod.
See? That's how fucking awful they are. You don't know they exist. They need to do a better job. Okay.
Sort of like the QA testers should do their job too, but they just don't. Like, they need players for that.
Yeah. Okay.
And the
third party-
developers too. I'm seeing that.
Thanks, Maz.
Everyone at Jagex
Please
sucks.
fix the arrow.
I'm kidding. One of the JMods should come on the podcast in the future. Alright.
Aiza.
You're right. We love you, the JMods. You're awesome. Third-party clients. Are they
Not
problematic?
Maz.
Are third-party clients problematic or overpowered? What are your thoughts on RuneLite, clients like Exilent that people might not even know exist but are like
Fuck is
widely
that?
used in communities? So I'll just talk about what Exilent is. Exilent is a PvP client that has a lot of features that are not allowed on RuneLite or Elsebody or Conduit. Like multi-lines are in the game, freeze timers, there's a little countdown on the person you're fighting when they unfreeze, when they're able to be frozen again. Things like that. Really OP stuff. What do you think of third-party clients? What do you think of the features that they allow that are thought to be OP? What do you think of things like the spellbook that they're now polling in the game that are possible already on third-party clients, that some people already use in the game, that are now being polled on the official client? Should third-party clients be more strictly, I want to say regulated, or like, I just want to know whether people think third-party clients are problematic or overpowered, or what issues they see with third-party clients. And we'll start with, I'm not sure if Charmander's here right now.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, what are your thoughts on third-party clients?
I don't know. It's kind of weird. We've had them for so long that it's to the point where I think it was yesterday mornings when they do the updates, right? I woke up at like 7 a.m. right after the 7 a.m. EST, right after the update had happened, and RuneLite was down, so like none of the features are on. And I went to go do some herbivores, and I was like, where's my plugin? And I was like, well, fuck herbivores, dude. Like, I'm gonna go fish. And I was like, wait, I can't see the fishing spot, and like I can't shift config my stuff. Like, I actually have to use Windows mouse keys, not AHK, to drop stuff. And I mean, do I think they're good for the game? I think some of the updates are okay. I think stuff like the huge draw distance they did today, I'm not really sure why they did that. That just feels like a straight like
The flex on an
overpowered
OS
thing to have in the game. Yeah, flexing on OS Buddy.
Yeah.
Some of the other stuff, like I think the shift config thing where you can like change what option you get when you hold shift is like, that seems pretty overpowered.
So
I'm
okay.
sure that's not on the
My
official client.
opinion on the shift config and things like that, if someone can do it on a third-party client, everyone should do it. Whether I agree that should be in the game or not is a separate discussion, but if someone can do it, everyone should be able to do it. If someone can reorder prez on a third-party client, should be in the game, everyone can do it. I think,
So you're saying they should be able to do it even without that third-party client?
right, it should be in the actual game. It should be on the server side, not client side.
And if it's not in the game, it shouldn't be in the client. Is what
Exactly. I think if someone's allowed to do it, if anyone's allowed to do it with an OP client, then everyone should be able to do it. And if, I don't know, I feel like a stronger stance needs to be taken on clients, especially like Exilent, which are sketchy to use for a start. The owner's not so trusted. But then they have all these OP plugins for PKs to use. Like, on Exilent as well, there's like a Zolra plugin, tells you what to pray, things like that. Highly recommend not to use the client. I'm just saying it exists. Some people use it.
Definitely don't.
It's not
use
fair that they
client.
use it, and there needs to be something done about that, in my opinion. Jack.
So I think there needs to be a line drawn between what's acceptable on a third-party client and what isn't. I think it's up to Jagex to make that line, but in my opinion, at least, I think if you can do something on the third-party client which gives you a better XP rate than something that you can do on the regular client, or allows you to do something more efficiently, then I don't think it should be allowed. For example, I don't know what a good example is.
Okay, one
Clicking the
example
altar from
is
a mile away or something.
the Dorgas Ishkan agility course. The conduit client used to tell you what cog or whatever to pick up, and you didn't even have to read the text for that. So that literally saved a line of chat every lap. So it was a higher XP rate using a third party client. That should be in the game. If a third party client's allowing that, that should be in the game. But yeah. Sorry, Jack. I just wanted to give an example.
No, that's all I wanted to say there. I just wanted to give my opinion on what should be acceptable in a client and not.
Yeah.
But I mean, I still use all the features, so
Yeah, of course. Why wouldn't you?
everyone does. But yeah, exactly. But
it's one of those things like if it's in the game and you can do it, you're kind of stupid not to do it. Like that doesn't mean I think it should be in the game, but the fact is it's in the game and it's probably not going to go away. So, but at the same time, I think things you can put in clients that would make it so that people don't have to use things like AHK and Windows mouse keys and stuff. Do you guys think those are okay to have in the game, or do you think AHK
if someone's doing it, everyone should do it. If one person is doing it, everyone should be allowed to do it.
Right, I agree with that, but I'm saying, like, there's a lot of RuneLite features that I don't think should be in the original client. And so I guess what I'm asking is, do you think the plugins they have that make it so that you don't have to use things like Windows mouse keys and AHK, things like that, that take away you needing external things from the game, do you think those should be on the official client?
Yes.
Or do you think they should just
be a simple AHK scripts in the old school RuneScape client? I think you should be able to press 1, 2, 3 and customize them to certain mouse movements.
Interesting.
Because someone's doing it. Everyone should be able to do it. It's fair.
Right.
Or everyone should not be able to do it.
Not
For
right.
example, botting.
They've tried that and that didn't work. They made a strong stance on AHK. A lot of people still use AHK. Some people are doing it. Everyone should do it, in my opinion.
Stuff like the third party, like what got added to RuneLite yesterday, the GPU thing. Like you can now play full screen, like 50 FPS with like 0 problems, no lag or anything. Like because of a third party client feature. And that was toyed with by Jagex like a year ago. That it was coming to the original client, but there's just no word on it. But a third-party client did that first, and it's going to improve the game for so many more people. So I think features like that are really, really good, but it could probably do without some of the more OP stuff, like Herbivore trails and stuff. I think it's a bit much.
So do you think it's a lack of the old school client itself that is caused?
I think a ton of the stuff added to RuneLite, like you can make a RuneLite plugin in a day, but when it comes to like engine work and stuff, like adding shift config, like I obviously don't know what that entails, but I would assume it would take a pretty long time of dev work and shit.
So I
just
like
adding that as an add-on in a client is just way easier.
I just want to add that I was watching a user's stream about 3 weeks ago, and someone in a user's chat said to him, we should have more work on the old school RuneScape client. There should be more added to it. A user's response was like, yeah, that's awesome. I think we should also do that. I would love to see people add stuff to the old school RuneScape client. And then I typed in his chat like, well, in 2015 RuneFest, Foxy was at RuneFest. Foxy had a conversation with Matt K. He said, hey, I made a third-party client. It's wildly successful. I'm happy to work on the old school client for free in my spare time. Matt K said no thanks.
He made Conduit, by the way.
Yes,
he
made Conduit. The
Conduit.
person who made Conduit, he offered to work on the old school client for free at 2015 RuneFest. Matt K said no. He said he didn't want that, right? So I don't want to hear a user saying, oh, we'd love for the client to be better. Fuck no, you don't. You've made no effort to improve it. You've done nothing to improve it. And I'll even say that you're happy with third-party clients being the main way to play the game. They're content with that. And if that's the case, which they should just at least say, yes, we're happy with third-party clients, because it's obviously their stance, if they're making no input, no reasonable measures to improve their client, they should just say, we're happy with third-party clients being the way to play the game, but we're going to regulate them more heavily. and they shouldn't allow OP things and like Exilent to be a thing. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't like a user saying that he'd love to work on the client because they don't. They've made no effort to improve the client. It's always been a third-party client thing.
So what do you think?
Well, the way I'm going to say something, the way I see it is RuneLight's good because it does save dev time. I don't think we need to spend time fixing the current old school client because they can focus on other things. RuneLight or other clients can focus on handling a better client. I really like RuneLight because I can make my own plugins for that. It's open source.
Yeah, I
So
was going to say, you've written some of your own
really great.
plugins, right?
Yeah, I've written some for RuneLight. I mean, they're not in RuneLight. I use my own build, but I think that's great that I can do that.
I think that scares me a lot. Like the fact that like
You can
other
write
people are
custom
using
plugins.
builds that like no one has approved it or whatever, like that kind of freaks me out because I know information like which door to go through at PEP, like that's available client side. I don't have access to that because no client has been told that they're able to make that kind of thing. So, or anything like that. The same with Herbivore. The fact that someone could be doing Herbivore right now with like some bullshit OP plugin, like I don't like that that's possible.
There's actually, even now with the Herbivore plugin, there's a few instances where RuneLight will just straight up tell you, like you'll end up next to an obstacle, and there's like 2 of them, I think, where RuneLight just straight up tells you which one is the ending, whereas without RuneLight, you wouldn't know that. So they obviously have the features, and it was even in the game, right? I think when they first released the plugin, it would just tell you the correct obstacle before you clicked on it.
I don't think that version ever got added. I'm pretty sure something like that would trigger like bot detection and shit. Like having 100% Herbivore success rate, like that should stand out because bots would
Probably
do
the
that.
same with
like
the PP doors as well. Then
yeah, like that should get you banned.
Well,
And if it doesn't,
with
then
PP, there's
it's pretty
people
bad.
like they're shared, so you run PP with someone else. I'm sure
Yeah.
someone's
Yeah.
done 6 hours of just only the correct door. So I don't know. That
Yeah.
obviously isn't
PP's
part
a
of the
bit
detection.
different than Herbie, but
Yeah, that's fair.
So Mickey said she thought the best way was like that it's fine to have third-party clients. Does everyone agree or disagree? Do you think there's a better way to handle it, or just say, F it, just let the third-party clients run wild?
I don't have a problem with them, really.
I think have some sort of official client, like have RuneLight as the sort of official endorsed client, and have every other client be at a
I
risk.
would like to see that. That
like
would be a
Exilent
really
and stuff.
good move.
That's really fucked up.
Yeah, well, OSBuddy was effectively an endorsed client, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Well,
but the
Buddy is
client was
owned
just
by
so
Jagex,
badly
basically.
made that it was like.
Was that
it was so
confirmed?
shit.
Yeah,
That was really sketchy.
they have like a majority share in OSBuddy. Like,
Yeah,
that's sketchy.
they sort of run OSBuddy. At
it's
this
just
point,
such a shit client.
what I would like to see, I know it'll never happen, but what I would like to see is that they just say RuneLight is the client to play RuneScape. This is now the official old school RuneScape client. We're gonna keep it open source as it is, and the developers will work on it as they have been. But that's the only client you're allowed to play RuneScape on. Every other client is not allowed. I'd like to see that.
I think they'd have to probably make it not open source at that point. Like have the team of the top contributors and stuff work on it.
Yeah, I have a
I'm
real
not
issue.
okay
I don't
with that.
like
with
the
Xylant.
fact that people can have custom plugins, like because you can make some really OP shit very very easily.
Right.
Like
I don't know. I like it.
I have an issue with Exilent, like clients like that. I'm sure
yeah,
there's
for
more
sure.
of them.
I
There's
looked
more
through
of
the
them.
features. Yeah,
They just have OP features.
it's fucked up.
Anyway.
I mean,
I don't know why that's not regulated at all. Probably because it's so tiny.
I mean, they've had stuff taken out of RuneLight. The only people that would be doing really sketchy stuff is like someone who knows programming and one person who isn't sharing a client. Like it's just one individual.
Sort
They
of.
really
I think
have that much
somebody,
of an
anyone
impact,
can
I don't
just go
think.
to like the previous releases and like pull them down and get like Volcanic Mind plugins, Elver plugins.
I mean, yeah, they
like,
can, but it's
projectile
like,
indicators.
yeah,
Like
they can.
I don't think it's that complicated. I think like anybody
It's
can
not.
figure that out in a couple hours. Well, sort of. And you like
Yeah,
text
it's
editing.
not that hard to build your own client and get plugins that have been removed. But I don't think they should make RuneLight closed source.
I think if it became an official client, they should make it closed source, but I don't really see that happening.
yeah, I think the best solution is pretty much always just have Jagex work with the people who made the client so that we know that everything that's coming is okay to use and we don't get instances where they add something that's too OP, but that's definitely not a realistic thing to assume. So in terms of realism, I think third-party clients are just fine right now.
Yeah, to be fair, like the situation we have is alright right now. It's not awful. It
Yeah.
used to be awful. There were points where like having the farming plugin and all that was just OP. It was just reading the code of the game and telling you things you shouldn't know. But it's no longer really like that, and I'm happy with the current state of it. But I do think there is an issue with clients using OP features, and I think that they could take a stronger stance on people abusing OP plugins. And I'd like to see something change there. But it is alright. Like, it's not terrible. Okay, moving on. Jagex events. So we have All-Stars, the PvP All-Stars coming up this November. So I don't know when that is, maybe a few days from now. We have a tournament for Deadman mode in December. And potentially King of the Skill or something like that in the future. So what do you guys think of these events? Are they healthy for the game? Are they increasing player count? Are they effective advertising? Are they enjoyable to spectate? Would you ever compete in these events? And who will you guys predict to win All-Stars and things like that? So I'll start. For All-Stars, I'm supporting, I want to say Skidler. I think Skidler will do really well. I think Skidler and Perp will do really well.
All-Stars is the PvP, right?
Yes, it is. That's the big thing that all the streamers have been advertising, and they'll be streaming as an official event. It's sort of taken place of King of the Skill this month, where all the streamers have been invited. There's like a $32,000 prize pool. And in that tournament, I'd like to see Skidler and Perp do well. And I think it's very effective advertising. I think, especially when it's streamers are involved, I think it's very effective.
Of course.
It pulls in a lot of new players. That's awesome. I think PvP's always been a strong attraction of the game. So I think PvP events are awesome. And is it enjoyable to spectate? It's enjoyable to spectate in fixed mode. When they stream these events in resizable, I fucking hate it. But if they could do something with like the way they spectate these events, I'd enjoy it more. But yeah, I think these events are really fun to watch. I love watching them. And will I compete? I think, yeah, I'll probably compete in most of the events that they hold that are open to everyone. How about you, Charmander? What do you think of these events that they're holding? Are they effective advertising? Are they healthy for the game?
Well, I didn't even know what All-Stars was, but I'm sure a lot of people are really excited about it. I haven't watched RuneScape streams in forever, but I think any event you do with all the streamers is obviously going to be successful and is obviously going to pull a lot of viewers and show people who haven't seen the game, especially people who think PvP is dead. That was their last idea of RuneScape, but I'm not going to touch on All-Stars for who's going to win. I've absolutely no idea. I'm just going to say Mr. Mammal. I think he's definitely going to come out on top.
Stole my joke, man.
He's super, super good at the game. I think he's really going to be able to take down everyone with 73 AGSs. So moving on. For King of the Skill, I think that's a super, really cool, exciting event, I guess you could call it. I especially think the total level one is something that I loved watching people stream. I think that takes an insane amount of planning, and not only planning, but you also have to be able to get the highest rates and plan your pathing. And so I think the people who compete in the total level are probably some of the most knowledgeable players in the game, and I loved watching that. As for the other skills, I think it's cool to give people a chance who are really, really good at one specific skill to show that they're better than the rest of the players, or that they found some broken method and abuse it. I think that's pretty uncool, and that's what's going to happen and what has happened in the past and will continue to happen in most skills. I think they're all good advertising. I think King of the Skill is probably the worst because the majority of people who watch Twitch don't want to watch people mine granite and run around and do quests really fast and things like that all day. But as for All-Stars and Deadman, especially, I think Deadman is trash. I can't stand watching it at all. But in terms of just flat out advertising, I think what it does for the game is really good, and I think that's why they keep doing it. So that's what I think about that. I'm not super knowledgeable on most of this stuff, but that's all I have to say on those.
So All Stars don't really care about that much, to be honest. I was going to make an epic ponage Mr. Mammal joke, but not anymore. Dead Man, don't really care about either. It's pretty boring to watch. Has been boring since the first couple, and something usually goes wrong every time, so I don't really care about watching that, to be honest. And yeah, not really into PvP anyway. King of the Skills, fun to watch. I really enjoyed when that was on. I didn't really want to compete myself, but yeah, too much effort, too much planning. But it's cool to see Fraser get up there. Unfortunately, died to chins, but yeah. See if he competes this time. But no, apart from that, I don't know. Some of the events they do are good. I guess it obviously helps with the game, but I think they could work on marketing them a bit better. But apart from that,
Do you think they should keep running these events that they're holding, like All Stars and stuff? Do you think that's something they should keep doing? Is it effective for the game? Is it healthy for the game?
Depends how the first one goes. I don't know. I'm not really into that sort of thing, so I'm not really the best person to ask. But
Yeah,
the thing with Deadman is they keep making changes to Deadman. Nothing really works. So I think if they were going to scrap one of them, I think it should be Deadman. But that's just a biased opinion because I don't like it at all.
I like watching the Deadman finales. I don't really know much about All Stars, but I'm excited for King of the Skill. I think the overall sort of XP competitiveness of it is really cool. Like Wooks versus Fraser versus Osiris and shit. I think if more people compete in that, it would be really cool to watch and sort of follow. Like planning out just step by step everything that takes a lot of like game knowledge and skill, and I think it's really impressive to execute it well as well.
One thing with
So-
King of the Skill is I came second in the last King of the Skill. Third was Osiris, and fourth, Bodhi. So like they're like really top players of the game. I will say like Wooks won. He's the top player in the game. But if there was another King of the Skill, I would stream all of it for the whole month, and I would plan out everything on stream. And I think that would really help the people that want to compete but don't know an effective path. They just watch what I did and do that, and then try and make their own changes to that. And I think that would make it more exciting. So I think another King of the Skill would actually be very successful, and I think it'd be really fun to watch as well. A lot more fun than the last one, because the last one, the only people streaming it at a really high level were like Wooks and Bodhi and Foe, I guess, but Foe was like 20th or something. But I think King of the Skill was great. I think they should scrap individual skills. That would just be another recap of what's already happened. I think they should just put all the emphasis on overall, because the overall King of the Skill, I must say, is the most infinitely complicated thing I've ever seen ever. It is so hard to work out and work out what's the optimal strat and saving every tick you can. It's very exciting. It's very hard to plan, and it's probably the hardest thing I've ever looked at in my life. And I spent over 100 hours planning everything, and probably spent multiple 100 hours planning everything and trying to solve the game effectively. You just try and solve the game. Like, what is the fastest route to start an Ironman account? That was very hard to work out. So I'd love to see that again. I think they should just put all the emphasis on overall, though. But I think all these events are very effective. Sorry to hijack that. I think Mickey was next.
Yeah, I agree with you, Fraser, on the King of the Skill stuff. I think everything you said there was really good. And yeah, they should bring it back with the emphasis on overall. I thought it was really messy with like all the skills. And then there was issues with people getting their prizes and stuff like that. It was a bit of a mess. I think they should just focus on overall. As for All Stars, I didn't even know it was a thing until yesterday. It's not something that I would watch. There's some good players in there, but it's just streamers. Like, some of those players are not gonna win. I mean, we all know Mr. Malm's gonna win.
Just for advertising.
I think yeah, it's just advertising. The name's a bit misleading. I think the pictures were funny though. They were good to look at. They made it. They tried to make it look like an esport.
All right.
That was kind of funny.
So,
Deadman mode. My issue with that is a lot of them have been a bit of a mess. The finales. I think the last one was their best one, if I remember correctly. My main issue with Deadman is the server lag. It's always server lag.
Yeah.
Every Deadman mode.
affects the rest of the game, doesn't it? Oh well.
Yeah,
okay.
it's just annoying.
All right, let's move on.
Do you think... I actually have a question about the King of the Skill. So, do you think that... So they like Deadman mode. They run it so often, right? I think it's what is it every like 6 months? Question mark. Not
3
100%
months,
sure,
I
but
believe.
every. Jeez. The thing with King of the Skill though is, especially with the total levels, do you think that if they kept running something like that, eventually there would just be one best way to do it?
No, I think
so
it
it
is
would kind of
so
lose its value?
insanely complicated that if they ran it every month, it would be improved every month for years. I think it is so extremely complicated that no one will ever solve it.
I agree.
I think
I
it's great.
watched that and Inferno streams when it first came out were some of the best content, in my opinion, that Old School has had on Twitch.
The planning is the fun part.
Yeah, the planning is my favorite part. I think things like Deadman mode, unfortunately, though, appeal to more people because there's such a
PKing.
Yeah, PKing appeals to a lot more people than
Questing.
getting a pickaxe and going to quarry right away, or MMORPG training a bunch of hunter. Like, no one really wants to watch that. People want to watch Bodhi running around killing people.
Yeah.
So I think more Deadman mode in the future is obviously to be expected. King of the Skill, I personally find it the most entertaining, but unfortunately I think things like All-Stars and Deadman mode are just going to keep taking the front seat of Jagex's advertising and events and whatnot.
Yeah. Just final thoughts on this topic before we move on. I just want to say I'd like to see them rename it to something like November Contender. Just every November, just because that was a user suggestion, by the way. Very cringe, I know.
For King of the Skill?
For King of the Skill, I like to see them rename it to something just about the top player in the game. It'll be an overall run, and no one cares about the individual skills because that's not interesting. If Weeks competed in any of the individual skills, he would have won them all. So like, who the fuck cares who actually wins? It means nothing because Weeks is spending all.
What
his
about
time
Jebrin,
overall.
bro?
Oh yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It should just be all about,
What about-
overall. Should be like a $20,000 prize pool for number 1, 10,000 for number 2. Everyone does overall. Way more exciting. Way more
think-
interesting.
MMORPG is the best hunter in the game, dude. Too. Don't forget about that.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy.
Absolutely right.
Yeah. Anyways,
Okay, moving on.
Moving on.
What are your predictions for changes to the meta? Do you expect any skills in particular to be devalued with future updates? If so, what skills should you avoid training as an Ironman? I'll start with you, Charmander.
so I assume you're asking in terms of Ironman meta, what skills do I think are going to get devalued? I think with every single update, pretty much every single update, Slayer is getting either faster or there's more things you have to kill or more bosses are dropping. More insane things. Really, shoutouts to Vorkath for showing us what Jagex is capable of. Single-handedly changed pretty much the entire Iron Man Slayer meta. I think we're always one update around the corner from completely shifting the Slayer meta. That's such a finicky thing right now. I think also Herblore is obviously something people complain about Iron Man Herblore and just rune crafting in general pretty much more than other skills. I think Jagex has done a decent job so far with adding different updates to Herblore. And again, I don't think they should pander to Iron Man. Well, I think they should pander to Iron Man to a point, and I think so far they've done a pretty good job with keeping Herblore as the skill that people dread on Iron Man or really don't look forward to or takes a really long time. As far as what's going to get the next update, I think it's Slayer is the very obvious answer. I think I wouldn't be surprised to see another update to mining. I think we have plenty of mining methods now. I don't even think Volcanic should have been in the game the way it is now. But so few people know that Volcanic Mine exists and so few people do it that they still complain every day that I get 30k XP an hour motherload mine. So can you please make this faster? Can I left click granite or something like that? So I think mining, I think agility is pretty obvious. The new course, as to whether or not they'll make it the best, I don't know. And apparently hunter is just going to get devalued every few months. So those are probably the skills that I would say are going to be changed the greatest in the shortest time span. As to what you should avoid training, that's such a hard question to answer on an Ironman. Like, you pretty much just don't train any of your skills. Like, you can always just wait for the next update to make something faster. I kind of touched on this earlier that I think you get to a point with it where you go for 100 mil base, sure, that's an option, but I think you get to a point with it where you just have to acknowledge that you're going to miss out on some stuff and just train what's fun to you. At the end of the day, the most efficient way for you to play is whatever's the most fun and rewarding for you. And so if you think it's really fun to just go get 200 mil Slayer right now and ignore the Hydra Boss and things like that, or get 200 mil Thieving knowing that there's obviously going to be a Masters Farmer update and things like that in the future, then, I mean, just play to have fun. Like, especially on an Ironman, there's so many variables. Like, a lot of people say that mining is a really safe skill to train, and like with the boss coming out, who knows? Honestly, just train whatever's fun, man. That's the best thing for you to do on an Ironman. If it's really fun for you to get 200 mil Hunter and not do any birdhouses, then fuck birdhouses, just do what you want. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I think for what's going to get devalued, I mean, Herbler and Slayer's a pretty safe bet. I doubt that Vorkath is the best like Slayer PVM boss that's going to ever get released for Ironman, so you should probably wait off on that if you really want. But I don't think you should even play with the mindset of stuff's going to get... Like, you should really just play for fun and shit. Like, realistically, you're not going to play for 200 mil everything.
Right.
Like, I don't think anyone's going to play the next 10 years. Like, most people are going to play 2 or 3 then. Like, really tone it back and shit, so... Yeah, just do whatever's fun. And if you really want to avoid training something, then probably Herblore and majority of Slayer.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that if you want to play it safe, you probably just stick to things that either won't take that long or the end result of it is something that you think you're always going to want. So if you're going to do red chins for Hunter, and then you know you're going to get range from that. Like, you're going to have a guaranteed outcome, and you know that guaranteed outcome is going to be useful. If you're doing something on an Ironman and you're not getting anything that's pretty useful for it, I probably would just avoid that entirely. On Ultimate specifically, where you're focused on maintaining bag space and just generally having stuff around, if you want to play pretty macro there, you probably don't want to be doing something that the end result is going to take up more room, or that you don't have a game plan to use all of the finished products from it. Probably spamming fast skills to not 200 mil, but if you get a decent amount of XP, that kind of helps cover your ass if some passive XP comes out in the future involved with Ironman stuff. Gatherers seem not that great on Ironman because eventually you might need something from it.
So,
Oops. Go
nope,
on.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm not really interested in worrying about what skills to avoid because of devaluation or whatever. I know it's cliche. I just do what I find fun really in the game. So don't really care much about that. I'm a pretty new Iron Man anyway, so I don't really have to worry about any of that stuff. Like, I'm not exactly going for 200 mils or anything. I wouldn't even call myself a skiller. So yeah, I'm just focusing on what I enjoy. Don't really care about devaluing at the moment. Maybe I will in the future though.
Mickey?
Yeah, like I used to care more about this before, but I kind of just play more for what I want to do and a bit more fun now these days. I kind of agree with everything that Nix was saying.
What do you mean these days? Like after you maxed?
Well, now that I know that I can't play as many hours anymore because work life, I just have a different view of the game now.
Yep.
That's all. If I was still able to play all day, I'd probably still be playing the skilling way, but I just play for fun now.
What skills do you see being changed the most on Iron Man then, Mickey? What skills?
Definitely Slayer probably. Slayer like always gets devalued. That's definitely gonna get faster. I said this earlier that they might start pairing skills more together, and it sounds like it's not that good, and then when it comes to the game it's actually really, really good, and then you have to train the skill that way now. So I think there might be more of that in the future.
Right.
I think a lot of that has to do with they don't like all they think is 30k agility. Just making assume you get like 30k agility and 50k hunter from something. All that goes on in their head is the agility is slower than Artie and the hunter is slower than the other methods.
Right.
So this is okay.
And usually ends up being faster when they do actually release it. No offense, but I don't think J-mods are like the best at knowing XP rates and understanding how to test it properly and things like that.
So
So I think that's a big issue there.
My opinion there's a bit different. I think they actually take into consideration like the mixing up the methods. Because I remember with Herbivore being released, Mod Wolf and Underwater Agility as well. Mod Wolf was talking about a spreadsheet he made comparing the EHP rates and shit like that. So I know they do take this into account, and what I think happens is that they release it, it's awful content, it's under, because they tried so hard to make it not overpowered, it's not used, it's not played, and then they increase the rates significantly to the point of it being like you have to do it. They're like, oh, all the players are doing it now, it's fun content. No, we're just forced to do it because it's like the top tier content in the game. It's not what we polled, and it's not what was explained to us.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. You're right there. Yeah.
I think they do actually take into consideration things, and like they take into consideration the EHP rate so much that the content is really shit on release, and then they increase it to the point of having to do it, and then they reason that it's a good update because people engage with the content. I don't think that's a good indication of it being good content. Like, yeah. But
anything Maz touches is also guaranteed to just get buffed until it's the best.
That's kind of what I meant. Like the birdhouses, she didn't realize was like 1,000,000 XP an hour or something like that. She couldn't get her head around that, and like
that's when she originally said the shit about farming, right? Like, let me know when you can sustain that rate or something.
Yep.
Fuck.
Just a worrying trend for content development in the future, but
okay, I'll just put my 2 cents in and what I think will be devalued and changes to the meta. I think Slayer will become slower in the future. I don't think Slayer will become faster. I think that Slayer, all the mods are at the point of they all hate multi-combat Slayer. They think Catacombs is no good. I think Catacombs will be either changed to single combat or removed in the future.
Have they said that?
All the J-mods have publicly stated on Q&As and also on their social medias that they are not a fan of multi-combat Slayer.
Oh, okay.
Almost every single one have said that multi-combat Slayer is no good. So I think that changes to the meta will involve NMZ being nerfed. I think Slayer will become more melee focused rather than multi-combat focused, which I think will change Slayer to the point of I think Slayer will become a lot slower actually. Like not just like I think it will become significantly slower. Especially with all the complaints recently about people using cannons with like negative offense where your cannon never hits just to lure everything onto you for easier barraging. I think in their heads, they're like, well, this is just an unhealthy thing for the game. I think they'd like to take it back to melee Slayer. I think that's concerning for me, especially because I want to do Slayer. I think Slayer's going to get fucked. Like, I think Slayer's being nerfed in the future. I think NMZ will be nerfed. I think NMZ... Like, I want to do as much NMZ now as I can because it's an awesome AFK.
How do you think it's going to be nerfed?
Yeah, I think it'll
How
be...
are they going to make it worse?
Oh, I think they'll probably remove XP from it. And I think people will start AFKing other things for their melees. Like Cyclopses in the Warriors Guild or something. But I've always thought that they'd nerf NMZ by about mid-2019. My reason when I stated this opinion a year ago was that I thought that when they introduced mobile players will play for about 9 months. They'll reach like 100 combat. They'll be like, some will be maxed, and they'll start doing NMZ. NMZ will become a real issue, like 6-houring was, and they'll remove NMZ. So I think NMZ will be nerfed. I think that's a major change to the meta. I think if you're not NMZing now, you're stupid, because I think it'll be removed, and you should make use of it now while you can, and you can AFK all the time. Like, even when you're at school or work, it's easy to click your phone once every 20 minutes. If you're a normal person, you use your phone all the time. So NMZing is very easy to do. You should be doing it now if you want to be macro. I think some other changes to the Ironman meta is that Herblore is going to get devalued out the fucking arse. Herblore and farming are going to go insanely devalued. Farming guild is going to be a major contributor to this. I think that things like blue dragon scales will become easier to get in the future. Especially with the removal of crushed nests. I can see them replacing that with, say, scales at Warcap or something. I reckon Herblore is going to get devalued massively. I think farming will be devalued massively on Ironman. I'm talking about Ironman specifically here, but I think Slayer will be devalued for everyone.
You think this is all from the farming guild or just in general?
Just in general, but I think farming guild will push that trend of like, well, we tried not to fuck things up, but we did fuck things up, and now because we have fucked things up, let's fuck it up even more. I think that's their reasoning. They'll thought of Like, we put farming guild into the game, it's devalued Herblore so much, let's keep making Herblore easier for Ironman, right? I think that's what they'll do. And all the hardcore players are sort of maxing, or like have already maxed and stopped playing the game so much and stopped caring, that they stop voicing their opinions, and then they have this skewed view that it's okay to devalue Herblore and farming so much, that I think it'll happen. Well, I know it'll happen, I'm certain. I'm pretty confident that Herblore and farming will be the two major ones that will be devalued. I think Slayer will be made actually harder, so I think doing Slayer now is good. And I think mining will actually become easier as well, because Volcanic Mine was a failure. They meant for Volcanic Mine to be the way for noobs to do mining, and it's not noob friendly at all. The requirements they put on it made it not noob friendly. I think Hunter will get devalued more. I would not be doing Hunter if I was trying to be macro. And I think predictions to the meta is that I think they're going to pull in more PVM into the Ironman meta. I think there'll be more like farmable, like Zora-esque things in the future, which I'm excited for. I like that. I find that fun.
Puke.
All right.
They specifically said that they were, like with birdhouses, that they were trying to make it not so just farm bosses to get all your Iron Man supplies, and then their track record has not shown that that is the case yet again. So
on release of that, they said they didn't want Mol to be the main provider of nests, and now with the nerf, they're saying they don't want. They're saying they want Mol to be the main provider of nests. So,
yep.
JMods, like Wolf in particular, are very like they say things and then they change.
Contradictory.
Yeah, but they change their opinion all the time. Mod Wolf in particular, he says one thing and then he says the complete opposite the next week. I hate that. He's not consistent with what he says, and
they should just stop putting these ultimatums in dev blogs and things like that.
Yeah,
it would just you wouldn't make yourself look as dumb if you said this will never happen, and then next week you do it. Like,
yes.
I don't know.
Like, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of Mod Wolf in particular. He says things, then he changes his opinion on it the next week. That's awful. Stop sharing your opinion if you're going to change it so much. I'm fine for mods to share their opinion, but stick to it. If you have an opinion and you're strong about it, share it. But if you're in between, don't share an opinion.
Agree.
But yeah, changes to the meta. I think Slayer, Herblore, farming, mining, hunter. I think fishing's pretty safe, actually. I think if you're a macro player, I think fishing's... Actually, no, I think aerial fishing will be meta. So I don't know, maybe fishing won't be. But moving on. What are your goals? What are your goals for 2018? What are your goals for next year? I'll start. My goals right now is to finish Theatre of Blood. I'm at 320 KC. I want to get 500. I want to get a Rapier in particular. And I want to finish Chambers of Xeric. Because I have done 210 Chambers of Xeric. I've got the prayers, got an Ancestral Top, and nothing else. So I want to complete Chambers of Xeric. I want a T-Bow, I want a Kodai, so I can compete with like Inferno-esque challenges in the future. I'd love to compete with things like that, but I want to do it on my Ironman account. So I want to get a T-Bow, I want to get all the top gear. So I want to complete raids on my main goal. After that, I want to do 200 mil fire making and solidify myself in the top 10, because right now I'm rank 12. And I'd like to be around rank 7 or 8 overall XP. And then I'd like to do raids and Slayer.
Alright, I'll go next. I can't stand PVM at all. It's my least favorite thing to do in the entire game. So my skills are all just skilling based. It's really hard for me right now because I really just want to do Hunter. Hunter is my favorite skill in the game, hands down, but I think that's one of the easiest for them to just add something that I'm going to big time miss out on. Like, the Master Farmer's getting more hop seeds doesn't really bother me too much, and I don't think the snape grass and potato cactus, I think, seeds are going to be like super common. Like, I can't see it being meta to just do 200 mil thieving at Master Farmers, so I'm not too upset about that. But I think Hunter is really big. But in terms of goals, I'd say realistically in the future it'd be 50 mil fishing, 50 mil mining, probably going to stop at around 150 mil Hunter. I think saying you're going to do birdhouses for 100 plus mil is pretty unrealistic, but I think 50 mil and then saving myself some space for the obviously overpowered and weird things that are going to get added to the game would be fine. So it's pretty much just gatherer skills. And then I'd also like to go for 20 mil base at one point, but mine would just all be skilling goals that are probably going to change on the flip of a coin. As soon as one update comes out, it's just going to change my entire plan. But for now, just lots of gatherers, lots of skilling for me.
My goals for, I guess, this year is more raids items and I guess 200 mil fire making. I really wanted Hunter, but I'm sort of saving that for aerial fishing. I think that's going to be really overpowered. So I'm stopping that at like 110 mil. Other than that, just like a ton of raids items. For next year, I probably want to get more into PVMing, get like some better gear and stuff. And I mean, in the process, probably lose hardcore status, but I think it will make the game way funner, being able to do Vorkath and new challenges and shit. So, yeah.
So I only just maxed like 2 weeks ago. I think it was the first of whatever month we're in now, November, that I maxed. So still trying to figure out what I want to do, really, mainly. Been doing quite a lot of TOB. I really want a rapier so I can go back to Slayer, because Slayer's probably my favorite skill to do. Been working on a couple 20 mils. I recently got 20 mil herb lore. Just used all my herbs from after 99. And yeah, working on some crafting and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm just, I don't know, having fun skill hopping, doing that sort of thing. So I don't really have any real goals. I'd like to maybe get like top 100 or something soon. Would be pretty nice. I think I'm already pretty close to that. But yeah, just PVMing and getting some 20 mils basically.
Yeah, I want to do raids, get all items from raids 1. I would like to learn solo raids because I currently don't know how to do that. So I would like to learn how to do that. I eventually want to do Inferno, but I'm hoping to get a TiVo before then. Seems unlikely though. And also I want to do some God Wars. Hopefully not die is my plan. But I feel like dying would make the game better because I can do more content and it's not as worrying all the time, and it opens up things like TOB a bit more. Yeah, but at the same time, still trying to not die. That's it.
And on Fishkite, I've got a few plans, but generally just hopping between whatever sounds enjoyable. I think the general plans for the account, I just quest whenever possible in terms of if like I'm able to do it, I might as well do it now. But long term, I just think it's going to be a dorky little account, not super macro. I'm definitely not going for max or anything. But if I get in the groove of doing something, I can definitely stick to it like pretty long term if I'm not doing anything too click intensive on the main. Overall goal of the account, at least for now, is just like a fun side account though.
What about on your main?
200 mil all.
Okay, Dan.
All
Very
right.
cool. I just want to add one of my primary things right now that I'm aiming for is all the skilling pets. I've been working on those, especially while studying and doing assignments and stuff, while like AFK Karambons. Just trying to get the Heron pet right now. And the reason this is one of my goals is because I've been very lucky with pets. I got the Bloodhound on my Ironman, which is pretty unrealistic to ever get, so I'm happy I've got it. But also I've got like Hell Puppy, which is very hard to get on Ironman. I've got the Farming pet, very hard to get. Agility pet, which I would never have tried for otherwise. But I've got all these pets where it's made all skilling pets realistic, so I can like AFK Bloods while studying, and for the RC pet and AFK Karambons. Well, I want to aim for all the skilling pets right now, and then also do some PVMing in the future. Yeah, some very cool goals. All right.
Thank you, Fraser. Very cool.
Anyway,
Bloodhound,
moving on.
by the way. So.
How do you guys manage to be top Ironmen while having a real life? I know Charmander wanted to start with this because we have a few people on this podcast who work full-time jobs, few who don't, but let's start with the people who have a real life. So Charmander.
So right now I work about 8.5 hours a day. And then I come home and I'm usually up. I usually have free time between probably 5 and 11 is generally when I go to bed on weekdays. And so that leaves me 6 hours of free time, which I have to prepare for the next day, cook dinner, things like that. So realistically, 4 to 5 hours I have each night to play, and I can pretty much say that the best thing you can do is just have goals in mind and know what you're going to do when you log in. That's a really, really big part. Is that when you log in, you don't want to just be standing at the bank trying to figure out what you're going to do that day. And in your limited time span, you really need to have goals in mind and a plan in mind if you're going to take it seriously. So that's really helped me. Also, time management is obviously a really big thing, not for RuneScape, but just life in general. Finding time for other things makes a really big difference if you plan out your day and do things with a purpose as opposed to just letting the day pass by. Also, nightmare zoning at work, I can do pretty freely, which obviously helps a great deal. I think most jobs you can probably touch your phone every 20 minutes. So I don't think that's too unrealistic. If you're seriously competing, you pretty much need, and you have a full-time job, you pretty much need to be in the zone while you're at work. So that's that. Really just having a goal in mind, time management, really important for tons of things, not just RuneScape. And when you are online playing efficiently, obviously makes a really big deal. When I'm online, it's pretty sad. I can pretty much never fish things like karambwans because if I'm online and want to train fishing, I would much rather 3-tick barb than AFK 30k at karambwan. So you kind of miss out on some content if you want to seriously compete, but that's all I really have to say about it. I'm interested to hear what Mickey has to say, though.
Should I go next?
Yes.
All right. So I work around 50 hours a week, and that's kind of variable. Like it could even be more than that. Currently, I'm in a position where I'm not working at a client, so I'm doing internal work for the company, so there's less hours, but it's still around 50 hours for me currently. Fortunately, I can get away with doing mobile, so I actually do that at work. I do either Redwoods or Nightmare Zone currently, but I can get away with things like anglers. I've done that before. But I can't do anything like super efficiently or anything like that. I couldn't have it on my computer screen. It has to be on my mobile. I make my brightness low so people don't see I'm doing it. I don't want people seeing I'm playing RuneScape at work. It's kind of odd to do that. It's kind of easier for me because I don't care as much about like efficiency and skilling and XP as much as I used to, so that helps, I guess. But it kind of sucks because PVM goals take a really, really, really long time. Raids, it's hard to motivate yourself to do a few a day. I'd rather do the entire day raiding, not like a few a day when I get home from work and I'm tired. It also sucks because I want to stream, but I'm just, tired all the time and I don't get to stream very much as a result. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard, and also my hours could be increased in future to even more at work. So yeah, I don't really have a life anymore. Work's my life. Kind of sucks, but thanks, mobile.
All right, Dan, would you like to go next?
Sure. I manage. I play. I don't know. I don't play that much right now. I'm kind of burnt. But in terms of playing at work, I work as a consultant. I work a lot. Probably like 50, 60 hours a week on average, with bumping that up sometimes. I don't really mind that though. I'm in zone most of the time. But I feel like once my Twitch career really kicks off, like I'm just gonna probably quit that job and just live off of my affiliate earnings. So I'm looking forward to that once I hit 8-hour stream this month.
Do you think
Not
you can make
needed.
it?
8 hours, I don't know. Like
Yeah,
I've been at 6.5 for a few months now, actually. So like once I really hit that point, it's gonna be big.
It's pretty much all uphill from there. So
There's
I'm
no way to
excited
go
for
back
that.
down, right? Like
Yeah,
you
I'm
get
definitely
affiliate.
excited to see what the future has.
They can't unaffiliate.
All right, so we'll move on to Jack. YouTube money.
Oh shit. Yeah, not exactly. Yeah, no, I'm married with 4 children, 2 full-time jobs, so it's kind of hard to be a top page Ironman like me. But no, I'm basically
Sound like AJ.
not really, but I mean, not really, but yeah, I mean, for the definition's sake, I guess I'm a NEET, but I will have a career in like 2 years, so that's all right. But I wouldn't really consider myself a quote top Ironman, so I guess it doesn't
The
really.
question was more so like, how do you manage playing RuneScape in real life?
Yeah, I just do it because it's fun.
Yeah.
And I have free time, so.
Next, how do you manage
mean,
RuneScape in real life?
I'm basically neat, but I mean, if I go out somewhere, I'll nightmare zone my phone and shit. Which I think everyone should do, even if you have a job or something.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then just play whenever you're home. Like if you're gonna go shower, do Redwoods or Zone or something. Like
Exactly.
you
I
need to
just
use all of your time.
So
You
for
can't log
me,
out.
how I manage real life in RuneScape, playing so much RuneScape, being a front page Ironman, is that I just AFK
With the
things
Bloodhound?
with a Bloodhound and an Infernal Cape. But
Anyways.
the way that I manage real life in RuneScape is that I just AFK things when I have to do IRL things. I'll be in zone if it's very AFK, or if I'm studying, I'll do something like Blood Runes, or I'll fish Chrome Bonds, which has been my thing lately. Or Volcanic Mine is another really good option. If you're at the computer, you're studying, you're working, whatever. If you have the time to do Volcanic Mine, it's a very good alternative. Because although it was polled and blogged to be high intensity, it is not. It is very AFK, and it's very easy to do while studying.
And if you
So-
AFK, you will die.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, it's very scary. Anyway, just AFK things while you're on the computer, and if you're if you're at work or at school and you want to compete, then just zone on the phone while you can.
Yeah, if you're trying to compete and you're not already like top 10 and you're not doing Nightmare Zone whenever you can, you're realistically don't have a chance if you have serious life responsibilities. So if you're not already doing that, you pretty much need to get on it, especially because I agree that Nightmare Zone will likely get nerfed. I don't think it's going to be as soon as Fraser thinks, but I think sometime before the end of next year, they'll probably be touching it. So that's all I have to say on that.
Okay. So I think everyone managed to put in their 2 cents there. Let's talk about QOL updates, or what they call QOL updates, and whether they're healthy for the game, whether it makes RuneScape too easy, and raise like any problems or concerns you have with things like withdraw X, shift configuration, left clicking range was an update recently, or shift drop. What do you think of these QOL updates that change how the game is played? Is it problematic or is it okay? And we'll start with Jack.
So, QOL updates, quotes, are not really. They're kind of just an excuse for babyscape, as Levine likes to say. But no, I'm generally against stuff like the. I mean, I voted no to the withdraw X and that sort of shit, especially since they said mobile wouldn't affect the main game, and then they went and did it like right after the mobile came out. But I don't know. I don't really like most of them. Some of them are quite nice, but it doesn't really bother me too much anyway.
I think they've lost the line between QOL and just making things easier. And I think that's a really big issue. Like, withdraw all from the bank is not a quality of life update. I mean, people's argument is that people are doing it with AHK, which I guess I can kind of see, but I think the better answer in that situation is just make it so players can't use AHK rather than just dumbing down the player field or dumbing down the play field. Just take a strong stance on something like that. I think genuine quality of life updates like toggling or getting rid of the free-to-play total level that no one wanted, like that's what I consider a quality of life, is like removing small things like that make my game experience less enjoyable for me. I think quality of life is not making it so that I can withdraw stuff from the bank and get higher XP rates if I'm bad. There's a very thin line between quality of life and just making things easier, and I think they lost that a long time ago. And so I think quality of life updates, if what they actually are is quality of life, are perfectly fine. I hated the free-to-play total level, and I'm really glad they got rid of that. But quality of life in the sense that they make things easier, I think is not a good direction to go.
Next.
Yeah, for like quality of life updates, they can take quote unquote quality of life pretty far. Like shift click to drop like every type of this item in your inventory. I could see something like that passing for mobile and shit. Like They really just need to draw a line. I think it's really good that they consider stuff like one-tick crumblings when implementing like the range update. Like it's not possible to just hold down a button and spam click the range. I think that's really good. And if quality of life updates keep coming into the game, they should have the same sort of level of consideration as that.
Mickey?
Yeah, I kind of agree with everything you said so far. I don't have more to add to that. I'm not really a fan of the mobile changes coming to the game. I don't agree with that.
Yep.
Quality of life can be disguised as like just easy mode, but it's disguised as like something that's good for the game.
So
But it's not.
in the past, I had a real issue with these QOL updates, like shift click in 2016 when they pulled that. I was not a fan of it, but I can now see that was pretty good for the game, and I think that's fine. But this like left click withdraw X and with left click withdraw all, not a fan of that. I don't know. I hate that they're pandering towards mobile now, and I think that there'll be a real concern in the future when they start labeling things quality of life for mobile players. This is a straight increase to XP rates and things like that in the future for certain skills. I think that mobile will actually be a very big factor in these future QOL updates. I think in the past they've done a pretty good job. I think QOL updates have been QOL updates, and that they've actually just improved the quality of playing RuneScape. Like it's been more fun and more fluid and easier to play and all that. So I think they've done a pretty good job, but I don't like how they label a lot of things QOL when they're not QOL.
Yeah, I think they honestly believe that the the magic book, like showing the spells in an increased size if you only have the runes, like I think that's quality of life in their mind, and that's definitely not a quality of life update.
Yeah, and there was a JMod like unironically taking the position of like, how is making it bigger making PvP easier? It's like,
Yeah,
it's a bigger fucking box, dude.
like they seriously think that's the case, which is a scary thing.
Okay,
Yep.
do you want to finish anything there? Anyone? QOL? Alright?
I think we're good.
Okay,
Yep.
well,
Yeah.
that is the last question I had. So if the chat wants to provide us with any questions, we can answer those. But aside from that, I think we're pretty done. It's been fun.
What about the Mickey questions?
The Mickey questions.
The important questions.
Alright, Mickey, do you think having no dick and very low testosterone levels has impact on being an efficient player? This question is from a fellow female, and she struggles with click-intensive tasks and thinks it might be due to her low testosterone. So, Mickey, any help for fellow female players?
So that was the end of the podcast, by the way. I would recommend just leaving now.
Alright, so I mean it's pretty telling. There's no other girls who are like on the top page hardcore and things like that. So we certainly do struggle, don't we? I mean, I'm definitely not the best player. I don't click as well as some of you guys do, to be honest. So yeah, I'm gonna blame the lack of testosterone. Can't be helped. Just,
unlucky.
Pump some. I pump
Just
some.
a
That's why I like.
It's just genetic.
That's why I do better than most. But yeah, otherwise,
So
yeah, it's a struggle.
right before we end, has there been any further any further news on CML, the owner of CML? Anything like that on Twitter?
No, I think he went to sleep. He's in this. I'm a mod in the Discord. I don't want to flex, but we're pretty close at this point, and he hasn't mentioned anything to me, and we're like best friends at this point. So
I think he joined Olympus Discord actually.
Oh, PogChamp.
Ooh.
Nice.
Time to scroll through the list.
So I'll just answer some questions here. Do you find PKing fun? NHing, edge breeding? Yes, I do. I actually really like PKing. I play.
I really like
mode a lot.
PKing.
I don't know if you're being serious then, but I personally am being serious and I
No,
enjoy PKing.
like some of the most fun I've ever had was out with the pepperoni boys at Black Chins.
Yeah.
I think that's like it's like an unreal experience. If
is
Lake
fun.
you're watching, we're really sorry.
Hell yeah.
I'm also a big fan of PKing at the Yanel Sand Pit. It's very fun.
Oh, and the
Yeah.
Wildy course is actually a lot of fun. Like people are really upset with you for killing them at the Wildy course, but like it's pretty easy to just run that area. It's good.
Alrighty, so that was it, and that's the first Olympus podcast. Hope you all enjoyed it, and we'll be doing these podcasts more frequently in the future. So
If they-
a month or so.
Most likely won't be this long next
Yeah,
time.
no.
But
This
thanks
was
to
the
everyone
first
who
podcast.
stuck around.
So we went through what the clan is, what the requirements are, and hope to see some future Ironman in the clan soon. And I just want to say we have over 80 members now, right? 80
I
ranked
think
so,
members in
yeah.
the clan.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
We have 200 people on the friends list. The clan opened 6 weeks ago. We have 80 ranked members, and the averages of the people in the clan are maxed. So in our CML group, you add up those 80 players, the average Ironman in our clan is a maxed Ironman. So,
And
hope
we
to see-
have pretty much all active front page Ironman in
Yep.
here. So,
I think 23 of the top 30 Ironmen are in Olympus, so...
Yep.
Anyway, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed.
and
we'll
if
see
you
next
guys have
time.
any recommendations or anything for the next podcast, definitely let us know.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
super open to advice and things you guys want to tell us. So
I will,
feel free to talk in Discord or anything.
and I'll just put a link to the Olympus Discord in the Twitch chat. Anyone's welcome to join. We have a pretty open community. And try to be active if you want to be part of the Ironman community, because that's the best way to do it.
Yep,
All right.
tons and tons of resources in the Discord. So I definitely encourage anyone to join.
Alright, hope
That's
you all
it.
enjoyed. See you guys.
Bye, guys.
Peace.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Smorg.